Pokémon, Cynthia's fiance at the beginning. Author, Legend Love Powder. 326 Gardevoir is so cute, how can she hit her? After a burst of red light, an Audiobook Titan with a body size of 5 meters landed heavily on the battlefield with a bang. Pokémon, Registeel? Gender, none. Attribute, Steel? Ability, Eternal Pure Body. It will not be reduced because of rivals' moves or ability. Level, 75, median level 3 level God. Skills, Charge Beam, Metal Claw, Bulldoze, Iron Head, Flash Cannon, Iron Defense, Heavy Impact, Superpower, Zap Cannon, Hyper Beam. Exclusive skill, none. Contest condition, normal. Remarks, although it also has the flexibility of stretching and shrinking, it is actually composed of a mysterious substance that is stronger than any metal. Although Registeel does not emit the powerful and terrifying growl like other Pokémon, but standing there with such a thick body gave a huge pressure. I'm going. Is this the legendary Registeel? Its iron defense covered in copper walls. Is this the legend of super strong defense? There is a feeling that one man is in control and 10,000 men are in charge. I don't know how Steven managed to subdue this legend. Kaluni's Mega Gardevoir will probably lose this time. Yeah, just relying on his Audiobook body. Even if the energy is exhausted, it won't be able to break through his defense. The audience at the scene, following Steven's release of Registeel, were not optimistic about Kaluni. After all, Kaluni's Mega Gardevoir is at a disadvantage in terms of attribute, and in terms of strength. Registeel, who is the middle third level god, also has an advantage. With Registeel at the helm, Steven's confidence doubled. Commanded loudly, Registeel, use Bulldoze. The silent Audiobook Titan Registeel, with 7 red spots on its face glowing with dazzling light. The long Audiobook arms inserted straight into the ground. Through the energy in the body, the entire venue is stirred. The ground, like boiling water, is constantly boiling. Such an indiscriminate attack made Kaluni frowned. Gardevoir, be careful. Use teleport to dodge. Mega Gardevoir keeps adjusting his body shape, quickly uses super energy, and transmits non-stop. Taking advantage of the pause in the attack, Mega Gardevoir exhaled forcefully. Although Kaluni's Mega Gardevoir, the ability is very strong. Teleport can be used almost continuously, but frequent use of skills is also a test for energy consumption. Gardevoir, how are you? Can you still hold on? Kaluni looked at Gardevoir who grew up with her with concern. Mega Gardevoir nodded. Just like Taina, under the elegant and beautiful appearance, there is a heart that does not give up easily. It's our turn to fight back. Kaluni launched the command loudly. Gardevoir, use Mystical Fire. Mega Gardevoir waved her slender arms vigorously, soaring in the sky of the entire battlefield. Instantly dyed red. Boundless wafting flames descended from the sky. Facing the fire attack of the restrained steel system, Steven chose to resist hard. Registeel, use Lock-On. Find out where Gardevoir is. Registeel allowed himself to be attacked by the flames all over the sky, and resisted the attack with a powerful special defense ability. At the same time, the 7 red light spots on the face emitted waves of Reconnect Lock-On Mega Shachaduo's aura. Steven's eyes were fixed. Registeel, give rival a hard hit. Attack with Flash Cannon. Ask for flowers. Registeel placed 2 long Audiobook arms on his belly, shooting out a pure white, condensed beam of steel light. Kaluni screamed in her heart that it was not good. Hastily sounded a reminder. Gardevoir, dodge carefully. Mega Gardevoir used teleport again and again, avoiding attacks non-stop. But the condensed steel beam of light kept chasing after her as if it was equipped with tracking. Boom! Flash Cannon slammed into Gardevoir firmly. The powerful impact blasted Mega Gardevoir tens of meters away, but only a few meters away from the battlefield. A few more steps back, then Gardevoir will be judged to lose directly. Gardevoir, how are you? Kaluni looked anxiously at her partner. Gardevoir stood up unsteadily. The snow-white skirt on his body was covered with dust. The majesty of the Super Queen disappeared, and the mountain girl fell into the mud. Hateful. Kaluni clenched her fists. Gardevoir is her companion who grew up with her. Kaluni is heartbroken and angry about this. Gardevoir is so cute, how can you hit her? Gardevoir, thank you. Come back. Even though Mega Gardevoir still had the strength, Kaluni chose to take it back. Mama stared at rival Steven and his Registeel. Steven, I didn't want to use his. You forced me to do this. Kaluni took out a baby ball and threw it towards the battlefield. After a burst of red light, the entire battlefield was plunged into darkness. 327 Steven's shameful surrender. The entire battlefield fell into darkness, and countless spectators fell into a state of confusion. Stop. Is the power off? You're so dumb. It's just that the battlefield is turned black. It's not that the entire venue is turned black. Besides, there are no lights on the battlefield, so where did you say that there was a power outage? Then why is it dark in there? You ask me, who am I to ask? Just when countless spectators wanted to figure out why the battlefield was pitch black, a near-piercing, violent, and destructive scream came from the battlefield. The audience who were unprepared, when they heard this scream suddenly, They all covered 537 and tightened their ears. In their hearts, a fearful love appeared. The darkness slowly seemed to spread around, and while the darkness faded, it also allowed the audience to see clearly the situation on the battlefield. An oversized, black and red bird Pokémon flapped its wings constantly, creating waves of evil. The image with fully spread wings looks like the Y of the English letter. The audience from the Kalos region were the first to recognize this Pokémon. Horrified and inexplicable, this ... this is Yutal. Yes, this is Yutal. That boundless darkness is exactly the dark aura emanating from Yutal. Everyone in the audience was in shock. Yutal? Exclamation mark. Is it Yutal who is in charge of death and known as the god of destruction? Exclamation mark. How could such a divine beast that can annihilate life appear here? Could it be? Yutal is Kaluni's Pokémon. Under everyone's horrified eyes, Yutal flapped his wings and landed in front of Kaluni, like a guard of normal. Sensing Kaluni's emotion, Yutal let out an unprecedented shriek at Registeel. Boom, boom. The violent, destructive screams made the Audiobook Titan Registeel take a step back uncontrollably. Although Registeel didn't show any expression, his backing movement had already told everyone. He, under the power of Yutal. At this time, Kaluni's voice came. Yutal, use Dark Pulse. Yutal put away the darkness of the sky in an instant, converging into a condensed, dark beam that seemed impenetrable even to light. With a huge shock, enveloped the body of the Audiobook Titan Registeel. Boom. The entire arena trembled because of this blow. The ear-piercing explosions stopped, and half of the vast battlefield was blasted into a huge pit. And in the pit, Registeel, who claims to be unable to break through the defense, has scars all over his body, and his eyes are circling. Lost all stamina. Just this one blow is enough to instantly kill. There was an uproar. What is the strongest defense legend? Under the absolute power of Yutal, it is as fragile as a piece of paper. Let you deal with Gardevoir who attacked me. Deserved it. Registeel was ruthlessly defeated. Kaluni felt better. Steven stared blankly at the mighty Yutal, then at the fallen Registeel. My heart is full of bitterness. He never expected that Kaluni would have such a terrifying legend. Originally, he was still counting on winning a beautiful match with Registeel. After all, this is Registeel's debut, but the result of this first show is like this. Although Steven felt helpless in his heart, he could only accept the reality. The battle is not over yet. Can only continue to release Pokémon, bite the bullet and continue to fight. No surprises. Metagross, Skarmory, Aggron, Excadrill, and Steelix sent by Steven were all swept by Yutal ruthlessly. No room for struggle. The worst, or Skarmory, because it's also a bird Pokémon. Skarmory felt the horror of Yutal most. Even though Steven kept urging, he didn't want to fight Yutal. In the end, Steven could only take back Skarmory in shame, surrender and give up. So far, Kaluni has won the battle, gained points, and has taken office. The guests of Hoenn region are at the table. Wallace felt a little distressed at what happened to Steven. Cynthia has two powerful legends. 1.1, that's all. After all, she is Mulan's wife. But why even Kaluni has such a terrifying legend? Could it be that Kaluni is also Mulan's woman? Wallace thinks about the rumors that have been circulating in the market, and thinks about Kaluni's frequent stay in Celestic Town. The thought lingered in his mind. Guest seats in the gala region. Dandy looked at Steven who was also defeated by the beast, and for some reason, he felt inexplicably close to Steven. 328 Wallace, Sabrina should have no mythical beasts, right? After the battle ended, the host stepped onto the stage slightly, and said with a smile, "Let's congratulate Miss Kaluni for winning this battle." Clatter. The audience from the Kalos region applauded wildly. As Kaluni's points increased, the ranking of the Kalos region also rose. Although the temporary points ranking is only 4th, anyone with a discerning eye knows it. As soon as the protection period of Emperor Dan and Yulongdu expires, Kaluni will challenge again. With the ferocious Yutal, the subject has no problem at all. Let's invite Miss Kaluni to return to the guest table with applause. Amidst the cheers of the crowd, Kaluni waved gracefully and returned to the guest seat of the Kalos region. Today I have seen the demeanor of the three legends one after another. I believe the audience at the scene will feast their eyes on 26 blessings. As the battle progresses, the first round of the championship ranking match is also drawing to a close. Which other champion would choose to challenge? Vivian looked at the Unova region guest seats. Dandy, Yulongdu, and Steven have all been challenged one after another. According to the rules, they have 1 day to rest. Among the region champions, only Crimson, Wallace, Sabrina, and Alder are left without playing. According to the current ranking, the bottom is Alder, followed by the new champion Sabrina. According to the challenge rules from low to high, Sabrina and Alder have the opportunity to choose challenges. Under the attention of everyone, Sabrina, the new champion of Unova region, got up with a blank expression. He responded calmly and indifferently, I want to challenge Wallace." As soon as these words came out, the audience from the entire Unova region immediately began to look forward to it. Because Alder is old, he has no heart to compete. Over the years, Unova region has been ranked at the bottom. And as the championship ranking match that the entire Pokémon world pays attention to, the Unova region has the smallest number of spectators who come to cheer. The new champion, Sabrina, rekindled their hope. The audience in Unova region didn't expect much, just hope that Sabrina can win a victory and accumulate more points. It is enough to get rid of the bottom of the 10,000 years. Amidst the anticipation of the audience in the Unova region, Nata walked quickly towards the battle hall. On the other side, Wallace walked slowly. While walking, Wallace's brain was thinking wildly. According to rumors, Sabrina also stayed in Celestic Town early. Very likely, she is also Mulan's woman. Would she have a powerful legend like Cynthia and Kaluni? After Cynthia's Zekrom, and Kaluni's Yutal, Wallace panicked. He was very scared. Sabrina also has the same strength as the two legends just now. After all, women who are also Mulan, wouldn't it be normal to have one or two legends? Will Sabrina have Ho-Oh or Lugia? Probably not. That power is too strong. Groudon, Kyogre? Probably not. I haven't heard that Sabrina has been to Hoenn region. Zekrom of Unova region was subdued by Cynthia. Reshiram and Kyurem were subdued by Mulan. Could it be that the legend that Sabrina subdued is Xerneas from the Kalos region? That's not right. I read the news some time ago. Someone saw Xerneas in the depths of the Kalos region forest. Sabrina should also confiscate him. Could it be the Sinnoh three gods of the Sinnoh region? Probably not. Even if the three gods of Sinnoh want to be subdued, it should be Mulan or Cynthia who should be subdued first. Based on this, it seems that other powerful legends have masters. Don't Sabrina have legends? Looking at the situation, it seems to be the case. Whether she has it or not. Anyway, I will be more conservative later. Explore first. When Wallace stood on the stage, he had already gone through 1,000 turns in his heart. With the lessons learned from Dundee and Stephen, Minutes should be careful about what he says. Vivian smiled and left the stage. Okay, let's hand over the battle hall to the two of you. Sabrina vs Wallace. The battle between the two started. Come out, my Milotic. When the battle started, Wallace chose the Pokémon Milotic he was most familiar with. Mtilda. The slender and graceful snake body lay across the opposing side. It has to be said that there is no reason why Milotic is called the most beautiful Pokémon, not 403. With her good looks and the ability to heal people's hearts, it is difficult for people to feel bad for her. Pokémon, Milotic. Gender, female. Attribute, water. Ability, competitive. Own ability is reduced. Special attack will be greatly increased. Level, 70. Lower third level god. Skills, water pulse, aqua ring, disarming voice, recover, life dew, aqua tail, safeguard, coil, hydro pump. Contest condition, normal. Remarks, live at the bottom of the Great Lakes. When Lucas glows bright pink, it emits a wave that can calm the irritable heart. Likewise, Sabrina sends out her trump card Pokémon Alakazam. Mega Evolution Alakazam. Alakazam entered the strongest contest condition under the package of evolutionary white light. Milotic vs Mega Alakazam. 329 Recipient, Wallace the Scoundrel. Among the many region champions, most of their trump card Pokémon can be enhanced by means of Mega Evolution or Extreme Giantization. Stephen's Metagross, Yulongdu's Red Gyarados, Dandy's Charizard and so on. In contrast, Wallace's trump card Pokémon Milotic is relatively unremarkable. On the other hand, the total of Milotic species strength is only 540 points. Only 6 points more species strength than Uzangia. But this Pokémon, which is as beautiful as a vase, is not weak in combat power. It's just that Milotic is strong, not the kind that kills rival in one move. On the battlefield, Sabrina took the lead in attacking. Alakazam, attack rival with Psychic Disruption. The 5 floating spoons of Mega Alakazam vibrated continuously, producing invisible ripples of mental power, and launched an indiscriminate attack on rival. The mental power rippled and trembled on Milotic's slender body, causing her to let out a cry of pain. Alakazam, who abandons his physical body and focuses on cultivating his spiritual strength, has excellent special attack ability. Seeing this, Wallace quickly commanded, Milotic, use Aqua Ring. Milotic's beautiful tail swung, and a layer of faint blue brilliance fell on the slender body, creating a pair of water curtain armor. The water curtain armor not only strengthens Milotic's defense, but also restores Milotic's physical strength uninterruptedly over time. Alakazam, use Future Sight. Sabrina strikes again! Mega Alakazam's mental power shook the air, and the 5 spoons flew towards soaring in the sky, forming a formation, continuously accumulating energy. Future Sight, this skill needs a little time to accumulate energy, and then attack. The power of such a move has reached an astonishing 120 points. In this regard, Wallace also responded quickly. Milotic, use light screen vertical bar. Milotic's slender body burst into light, and quickly formed a wall of light screen in front of him that weakened the power of special move. In an instant, Mega Alakazam accumulated full energy, and an astonishing ray of mental power that had already materialized fell straight on the light screen. With a bang, the light screen shattered. However, before it shattered, it also weakened the power of part of the spiritual light. The rest of the momentum hit Milotic's body exactly, knocked Milotic back more than 10 meters. Just after the fight, Wallace said immediately. Milotic, use recover. Milotic swayed his slender snake body as usual, turning into dots and stars covering his body. The damage caused by the attack just now was quickly repaired, and at the same time, it was full of consumed physical strength. Tricky. Sabrina felt a headache, and Wallace seemed to have made up his mind not to attack, but to concentrate on defense. As long as you don't attack, then there is no opening for you to attack. In desperation, Sabrina chose to start with Milotic's relatively weak physical defense. Alakazam, use Psycho Cut. Mega Alakazam quickly accumulated energy, created a long spear with invisible spiritual power, and launched an attack on Milotic. In response to Sabrina's attack, Wallace also quickly launched a defense. Milotic, use the coil. Milotic formed a circle around the snake and formed a defensive formation to resist the attack of the spiritual spear. The powerful attack defeated the water curtain armor on Milotic. Soon, though, Wallace continued, Milotic, use the Aqua Ring. 17. Milotic obeyed trainer's command and continued to create a water curtain armor covering his body to replenish his exhausted physical strength. Sabrina directed Alakazam to attack for several rounds, but only consumed part of Milotic's physical strength. In desperation, Sabrina could only attack without stopping. Mental interference. Fantasy rays. Psyshock. Wallace, who only defends but does not attack, also repeats the 3 tricks. Aqua Ring, Coil, Recover 3-piece suit, Increase blood repeatedly. The consumption was really too high, so I added a shot of life dew to replenish my stamina. Under 1 attack and 1 defense, all kinds of brilliant skills kept going, but after nearly 10 minutes of fighting, neither side had any results. The audience at the scene began to lose concentration as time went by. Brother, show me the seat, I'll go to the toilet first. Damn it, you actually went to the bathroom after such a wonderful match? Cut, what's the matter? You don't know, in the last championship ranking match, Dandy fought Wallace. At that time, Emperor Dan could be said to be at the height of his power, but so what? Wallace's Milotic and Dandy's Charizard took almost an hour to win. Dan Milotic thought it was over. Wallace's other Pokémon continued to consume. If there is no accident, this match will definitely be a bladder game. Go to the toilet to pee, come back and see. Qianzhou is probably the same as now. At the guest table of Gaul region, Dandy gave a yawn. I feel helpless for Wallace's almost rogue style of play. Milotic's personality is indeed not strong, but he is a rascal. The special defense ability itself is not weak, and the defensive skills such as Aqua Ring, Recover, Coil, Life Dew, Light Screen, and Reflect are very proficient. The Pokémon in Wallace's entire team are all Pokémon with strong defense and endurance. It is a proper receiving team. Gradually, the frequent attacks were ineffective, which made Sabrina feel more impatient. 330 Wallace, why are there still mythical beasts? Psyshock. Mental interference. Fantasy rays. Sabrina directed the Mega Alakazam, issuing a series of mechanical commands. At the beginning, I would pay careful attention to Milotic's movements, but gradually I found that Wallace didn't attack, but dragged on for the purpose of consumption. Just when Sabrina thought it would continue to consume, suddenly found that the speed of Milotic's use of Recover has slowed down a little bit. Chance. It was this that made Sabrina startled, and commanded loudly, Alakazam, quickly use the illusion light to attack. Stop rival from healing with Recover! Mega Alakazam received Sabrina's command, quickly swung a condensed spiritual beam, and shot it at Milotic. Alakazam's attack caused Milotic to interrupt Milotic's Recover, and also caused damage at 730. Just when Sabrina thought that she could take advantage of the victory and pursue Milotic smoothly, veteran Wallace immediately took out the baby ball, took back Milotic, and replaced it with a Suicune he had just conquered. Pokémon, Suicune? Gender, none? Attribute, water? Ability, sense of oppression, powerful coercion, which slows down rivals' release of skills and consumes more energy. Level, 75, median 3rd level God. Skills, Rain Dance, Tailwind, Bite, Water Pulse, Extrasensory, Surf, Hydro Pump, Sheer Cold, Blizzard. Contest condition, Normal. Remarks, there is a Pokémon as gentle as spring water in the body. It can run on the ground with a gliding motion, and has the power to purify muddy water. As soon as Wallace replaced Milotic, he immediately called out, Suicune, use Rain Dance Aqua Ring. CGDH. The ribbon on Suicune's body was automatic without wind, and the light rain fell in the air on the battlefield. The rain began to increase rapidly, and the torrential rain was only a matter of time. The raindrops quickly fell on Suicune's body, forming a water curtain armor covering his body. Judging by Wallace's appearance, it is probably still the same as before, only defending but not attacking. Moreover, with Suicune's legendary physique and rainy weather, Suicune's recovery ability is estimated to be stronger than Milotic. In addition, Suicon's oppressive ability also increases the energy consumption of Mega Alakazam's skills. It's like this again. Sabrina's little patience was completely exhausted by Wallace. Continuing this way, conservatively estimate that it will take at least 2 hours to start. Sabrina couldn't bear to continue dawdling with Wallace. She simply took out the baby ball and took Alakazam back. Take out a baby ball again. Fling out. After a burst of red light, a pink Pokémon floats in the air. With the appearance of this Pokémon, the rain on the entire battlefield stopped. The raindrops, as if condensed in the air, stopped falling. At the same time, the entire battlefield was filled with a strange feeling that could not be explained in words. As if the original law is no longer applicable, it seems to have been changed to normal. What changed all that was Sabrina's Mewtwo, the strongest biological weapon, or tilde. Suicon kicked ground anxiously with his forelegs, feeling short of breath from rival's strength. Wallace opened his eyes wide, looking at Mewtwo exuding terrifying spiritual power, completely dumbfounded. He has never seen Mewtwo, nor does he know Mewtwo, but he could tell from the aura on Mewtwo. Mewtwo is not weaker than Cynthia's Zekrom, nor weaker than Kaluni's Util. It is also a divine beast at the pinnacle of a second-level god. Wallace never expected. Sure enough, count the mythical beasts of the entire Pokémon world. I thought Sabrina wouldn't have mythical beasts. However, Sabrina's Mewtwo broke his guess. But it's no wonder. After all, Mewtwo is not a divine beast that exists naturally. He is a man-made beast. All the audience at the scene looked at Mewtwo dumbfounded, and countless people took out Pokédex to find out what the name of this Pokémon is, including Dandy and the others. They don't know this man-made beast at all. All were amazed. But what surprised them the most was still behind. I saw Sabrina, who just wanted to end the battle in the battlefield, softly said, "Mewtwo, Mega Evolution." The speechless Mewtwo stretched out his right hand towards soaring in the sky, as if dragging normal towards soaring in the sky, pulling down a white light representing evolution. Enveloped in white light, Mewtwo's body quickly transformed into a Mega Evolution X form. The body became taller, and at the same time, the 3 hands that formed it also became stronger and more powerful. Opening and closing slightly, it seems to be able to vibrate in space. Countless people were inexplicably amazed. Yu lay on the window of the guest seat, stared at Mega Mewtwox, and said in shock, "Such a powerful legend can still Mega Evolution. Is there any reason for this?" Sabrina opened her lips slightly. "Mewtwo, psychic." The silent Mewtwo stretched out his right hand and lightly shook Suicon. Boom. The terrifying and violent psychic poured out in an instant. After the attack, Suicon lay on the edge of the battlefield, eyes circling. Mythical beasts, instantly kill legends. 331 Giovanni, resurrection of promised Taina. Under Mewtwo's sweep, Wallace's Pokémon were no one-hit enemy at all. They were all defeated by Mewtwo. Congratulations to Miss Sabrina on her victory. As soon as host Vivian's voice came down, the audience in Unova region stood up in surprise and applauded vigorously. Among them, many Unova region audiences shed tears of excitement because of their joy. "I've been looking forward to it for so many years, and I've finally got rid of the 10,000 years worst life insurance. Thank you, Miss Sabrina. If it weren't for you, we would probably continue to be at the bottom." For the first time, I am proud that I am from Unova region. Whoa, me too. The next time I travel to another region, I can finally admit that I am from the Unova region, and I will finally not be discriminated against by others. Thanks to Miss Sabrina. Sabrina didn't just beat Wallace, she beat Wallace with a sweep. This also made the people of Unova region proud. Vivian came to the stage to announce the result of the battle. "Okay, the first round of the championship qualifying competition is now over. Let us look forward to tomorrow's wonderful matchup." Amidst applause and cheers, the first day of the championship battle ended. It can be said that almost everyone in the entire Pokémon world is discussing today's wonderful performance in the championship qualifying match after dinner. But there are only a few people who don't care about the championship qualifying match at all. Galar region, Kangwon City, Energy Factory. Rose's office. Leoz looked at the several people in front of him nervously. In front of him, the Rockets and others headed by Giovanni and the masked man are sitting. "Roz, long time no see." Giovanni looked at Roz with a smile. Roz was horrified by Giovanni's laugh. Everyone knows who Giovanni is. The most evil person in the entire Pokémon world. And behind him are the leaders of the evil organizations who have surrendered from various regions. "Giovanni, just say it." Facing someone like Giovanni, Roz doesn't want to entangle with him. "What do you want to do with me?" Save the politeness and go directly to the topic. "It's also very good." Giovanni leaned forward slightly, and explained the reason for coming to Galar region this time. "Roz, I want you to liberate Ujitna." Leoz's face changed, and he said solemnly, "Giovanni, how did you know Ujitna?" "In addition to knowing Ujitai, I also know that Ujitai is under imprison's feet." Giovanni restrained the smile on his face. "Roz, haven't you been looking for someone who can control the everlasting? Then use Wujitaina to obtain energy." "And I am the one who can control Wujitaina." "You?" Roz glanced at Giovanni. "Whoever is Giovanni, that is the most evil villain leader. Would you be kind enough to help?" "How is this possible?" "Giovanni, I think you covet the power of Wujitaina. And you want to take him for yourself. Lewis saw Giovanni's intention and pointed it out directly. That's right. Giovanni also generously admitted. Knowing Giovanni's temperament, Roz directly asserted, don't think about it. If Wujitai is under your control, the entire Gaul region will fall into chaos. Even the whole world will fall into chaos because of your madness. Hey, Giovanni shook a finger deep in front of Roz. Roz, I forgot to tell you. I'm not here to discuss with you. Ask for flowers. I'm here to inform you. Whether you agree or not, the resurrection ceremony of Wujitai must be activated. After speaking, Giovanni snapped his fingers. Maxie, Archie and the others quickly walked out of the room and released their Pokémon at the same time, and suddenly there was a breaking sound. Accompanied by the sound, there was also a pungent smell of blood. What? Roz's face changed drastically, and he said angrily directly to Giovanni's face, Giovanni, are you crazy? Such a blatant attack on an energy plant. Aren't you afraid of sanctions from the Alliance? Zero. Giovanni pointed to the content of the championship qualifying match being broadcast live on the TV, and said with a smile, now everyone, all eyes are on the championship qualifying match. No one cares about us. What's more, Roz, you have hidden Wujitai. Don't you dare to take the initiative to report to Alliance. After finishing speaking, Giovanni ignored Roz and walked towards the depths of the energy plant with the man in the mask. In the depths of the power plant, suddenly there was a loud noise. A purple-black energy vortex quickly climbed to the high altitude of Kangwon City. The free Gale particles are constantly gathering in the energy vortex of the purple-black. Gradually, the appearance of a bone dragon appeared. Dark night with no sky. Wuji-Taina, resurrection. With the resurrection of Wuji-Taina, the originally fixed energy structure of the Gaul region immediately became chaotic. Giovanni. Ross saw the situation outside through the window, and his heart was filled with complicated emotions. 332 A conspiracy enough to shake the entire Pokémon world. Gaul region, Forest of Falls. In the depths of the forest in a thick fog, two high-pitched howls of wolves came. The one who uttered these two wolf howls was the Pokémon known as the legendary hero. Kanxiang and Zangmarunti are two siblings. Scourge. Dark Night. The two siblings, Kanxiang, who were originally sleeping, felt the waking breath of Wujitai. That Scourge has actually come back to life. Must be cleared. Kanxiang and his younger brother Zangmarunti looked at each other. Both of them felt each other's heart. It is the bounden duty of the two siblings, Kanxiang, to protect the Gaul region from being shrouded in darkness again. Just as these 2213 legendary heroes set off following the aura of Wujitai, a short and weak figure appeared in the misty forest in the distance. Kanxiang and Zangmarunti stopped in their tracks at the same time, staring at this short and frail human with greatly changed expressions. Because behind this human being, there are two extremely terrifying forces following. This person is none other than Price the Masked Man. Behind him, Ho-Oh and the Dark Lugia can be seen faintly. Kanxiang, Zangmarunti, I have been entrusted by others. You cannot leave here. The frail Price said softly while holding Swinub in his arms. Humanity. Do you know that if that Scourge is allowed to go unchecked, the entire Galar region will become a forbidden land with exhausted energy? Hiroshi's slightly feminine voice rose. If it wasn't for the concern about the twin gods behind Price, Kanxiang and the others would never talk nonsense with Price. I promise, Wujitai will be subdued soon. Price didn't have the slightest thought of letting Kanxiang and the others go. It's not enough just to subdue. Such a scourge must be completely eradicated. Kanxiang's voice sounded again, but her tone revealed impatience. I said, you can't leave here. Price waved his hand. With Price's movement, a blazing flame shot into the sky. The dense fog that filled the forest was instantly evaporated by the high temperature. The fog lifts and finally reveals Ho-Oh, and the Dark Lugia with black feathers. The two divine beasts at the peak of the pyramid stared at Kanxiang and Zangmarunti respectively. In Kangwon City, the entire soaring in the sky was covered with a layer of purple-black, and the citizens raised their heads to look at the Wuji-Taina that was like a keel in the sky without knowing why. They don't know what happened at this moment. Next, they will see a horrible scene. A Pokémon covered in Oreburg armor quickly rushed towards the vortex of purple-black. This Pokémon was created by Giovanni of Team Rocket, a biological weapon that completely removes consciousness and emotion. Oreburg Mutwo. Go to Oreburg Mutwo, and weaken Wuji-Taina's ability. Oreburg Mutwo faithfully carried out Giovanni's orders. Clenching his palms tightly, behind him, super spears condensed with spiritual power took shape. Mutwo flicked his hands, and dozens of super-powered spears launched an impact towards Wuji-Taina's core. Boom, boom. Psychic spears pierced into Wujitai's purple-black vortex core one after another, sending out bursts of explosion sounds. The Wuji-Taina that enveloped the entire soaring in the sky let out a huge whine. Oreburg Mutwo, keep attacking. Giovanni, who was watching the game, launched the command again. Oreburg Mutwo quickly condensed the spear of super energy, and launched attacks without stopping. Wuji-Taina wailed again. The body that originally occupied the entire soaring in the sky began to shrink following the two powerful attacks of Oreburg Mutwo. Just after waking up, his strength hadn't recovered to half of his original strength. and he suffered continuous heavy losses. If it goes on like this, it will probably be called Raw. Yujitai let out a loud roar, ready to release the exclusive skill Dynamax Cannon to retaliate. Giovanni, who had been watching the game, took out another precious ball and flitted out. After a burst of red light flickered, a powerful evil spirit shot up into the sky. The liberated Hooper with 6 arms connected to the void appears. Free Hooper, use hyperspace hole. Hooper Liberation Hooper threw the halo in his hand, and the next instant it appeared on Wuji Taina's dragon head. Immediately facing his faucet, 3 beams of light were shot. Boom. Wuji Taina, who was suddenly attacked, was forced to stop attacking. Meanwhile, Audiobook Mutuo has not been idle. He launched his exclusive skill Spiritual Breakthrough again, sending out dozens of spiritual spears that turned into entities to continuously attack. With the joint efforts of Jiafang Hooper and Audiobook Mutuo, the newly revived Wuji Taina retreated in a row. Looking at the timing and getting ready, Giovanni moved towards Wuji Tai, whose chi machine was attacked and faded, and Fling released a special dusk ball. At this time, Wuji Taina was powerless to resist, and could only succumb to Giovanni's unique dusk ball. Giovanni retrieved the liberated Hooper and Audiobook Mutuo, picked up the dusk ball loaded with promise, and a satisfied smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Next, it's time to go to Alola region. Catch that Lucas who lost his light in 5.6. As long as I master Necrozma, I am qualified to fight against Mulin. Giovanni's eyes lit up for a while, he waved his hands, and drifted away. With the subjugation of Wuji Taina, the entire Kangwon city returned to its original appearance. The citizens only thought that what happened just now was a dream, didn't take it too seriously. But in Roz's heart, he is very clear, with Giovanni subduing Yujitai, a conspiracy enough to shake the entire Pokémon world is underway. 333 Do, Pokémon like Pikachu, don't panic. The Dark Knight that appeared briefly in the Garal region might attract the attention of many people on other days. But for now, it's just a blip in the Pokémon world, or even just a blip in the Galar region. Nowadays, people still focus more on the championship ranking competition. The next day's championship ranking match came as scheduled, and the battle for ranking continued. Dandy and Yulongdu, because they only lost to Cynthia, their rankings and points are still at a high level for the time being. At the beginning of today's battle, it was hit by the joint attack of Kaluni and Sabrina, pulled the two of them out separately, and abused them a bit, earning enough points. In this regard, Emperor Dan and Yulongdu have nothing to do. Whoever made them rank high enough before, the only way to get to the top is to step on them to get to the top. With the end of Kaluni and Sabrina's joint abuse tour, host Vivian came to the center of the stage, holding a 26-mat wind and happily said, "This conference is the most special one ever." Current Sinnoh region's champion, Miss Cynthia, ranks 3rd in the standings. In 2nd place are Miss Sabrina representing the Unova region, and Miss Grand Duchess Kaluni from the Carlos region. The two are ranked 2nd together with the same points. This year's championship points ranking tournament, the 1st and 2nd place are women, or male champions. You have to work hard. Speaking of this, the audience, regardless of region, as long as they are female audiences, all puffed up their chests. The first ones are all women. Cynthia, Kaluni, Sabrina and their 3 daughters have earned enough face for female trainers. Next, continue the intense points snatch contest. Who is the next champion to challenge? Vivian glanced at several region champions. In the end, Zhong, representing Guan region, stood up first. Mr. Red, who is the person you want to challenge? Vivian asked with a smile. I want to challenge Yulongdu. Next, the person I want to challenge is Emperor Dan. Kai Hong successively announced the candidate to challenge. When Cynthia and the others finished their challenge, it was finally his turn for Little Transparent Red, who was also specially trained in Celestic Town. Yulongdu stood up, and handsomely shook the cloak behind him, but his expression was not relaxed. Chihong expressed that she wanted to challenge him one after another, and then continued to challenge Dandy. Looks very confident, as if he could definitely be defeated. I am the youngest and best genius of the Dragon Clan. I can't beat Cynthia and the others with the beasts, so I can't beat Zihong. Yulongdu abnormal covet victory. He urgently needs a victory to boost his confidence. And Kai Hong hit the muzzle of his gun. Since the two have decided to start the Pokémon, let's start the battle. The referee announced the start of the battle. Come out. My Dragonite. Yulongdu sent out his trump card Pokémon in order to win at the beginning. Raw. Under Dragonite's simple appearance, there is a competitive heart hidden. Like his master Yulongdu, he, who has been abused continuously, desperately hopes to win a victory to boost his confidence. The decision is yours. Pikachu. Crimson followed suit and threw the baby ball. Pikachu. The red spark mouse is very energetic, with an expression full of fighting spirit. Pikachu. This victory is expected. Seeing that rival is a weak Pikachu, Yulongdu didn't care too much. Pikachu's species strength is only 320 points, but Dragonite's species strength is as high as 600 points. Dragonite's species strength is almost twice as high as that of Pikachu. It is precisely because Dragonite's species strength is high that it will be dubbed the name of a quasi-god. A quasi-god fights against an ordinary Pokémon that hasn't even fully evolved. Isn't this a hand-to-hand pinch? Just when Yulongdu thought it was safe this time, Chihong made Pikachu attack first. Pikachu, use Thunder. As soon as it came up, Kaihong didn't hold back. Pikachu shouted loudly, and the sky above the battlefield was immediately covered with thunderclouds. Thunderclouds rolled, accompanied by violent roars. Boom! Dozens of thunderbolts suddenly fell from the sky. Although not as powerful as Cynthia's Zekrom, its power should not be underestimated. Some complacent Yulongdu did not give instructions in time. Boom! Dozens of thunderbolts fell on Dragonite under the guidance of Pikachu. Roar tilde. Even the quasi-god Dragonite 123, under the bombardment of the thunder, his yellow body was a little scorched black. He flapped his wings and panted with difficulty. What? Yulongdu's complexion changed dramatically. In his view, Pikachu, who is not a threat, has such a strong strength. With just one attack, he lost half of his trump card Pokémon Dragonite. Is this the weak chicken Pokémon Pikachu he is familiar with that can be seen everywhere in the Viridian Forest? Likewise, the guest seats for the Galar region. Dandy looked at the battlefield with a solemn expression. The strength of the Scarlet Pikachu also exceeded his expectations. It seems that the upcoming battle will be a difficult battle. Hoenn region guest seats. Wallace shook his head with a wry smile, as expected of a person specially trained from Celestic Town. Even such an ordinary Pikachu has been trained so well. Stephen also nodded. It seems that Chihong is also a dark horse this time. 334 rankings. Earth-shaking changes have taken place. Crimson's days in Celestic Town were either training or training. Occasionally chat with Ash after training, or ask Mulan for advice. Otherwise, he seldom interacts with people. Because of her focus on training, Kaihong persistently wants to become stronger, and she is completely transparent socially. But such a small transparency is not weak in battle. After all, Kaihong is the legendary fighter. He is extremely talented in fighting, coupled with Mulan's suggestions, and his own hard work. He has already transformed into an unrivaled strong man. His eyes returned to the battlefield. Kaihong commanded loudly, Pikachu, before the other party reacts. Keep using thunder. Pick up tilde. Pikachu let the thunderclouds that had not dissipated continue to roar with thunder and lightning. Under the traction of the energy of the electric system, dozens of bolts of lightning were forced again. Having suffered a loss once, Yulongdu never dared to underestimate the Scarlet Pikachu, and hurriedly commanded loudly, Dragonite, quickly use Protect. Roar tilde. Dragonite quickly overflowed the dragon energy to form a protective shield to protect itself. But even so, the roaring thunder and lightning still blasted him to the ground with a huge impact. Dragonite has just landed in embarrassment and has not yet stood still. Scarlet's command strikes again. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. Pikachu tilde. Pikachu flicked his tail, attracting the active lightning elements around him. The energy was stored in an instant, and then a 3-meter-thick electric light was shot out. The unavoidable Dragonite could only bear the thunder and lightning bombardment with a howl. Or tilde. Dragonite, who was so shocked by the electric shock, finally couldn't bear the impact of the current. Lying on the ground, his eyes rolled round, and lost his fighting power. The first round of Chihong vs. Yulongdu, Chihong wins? The referee announced the result in a timely manner. Yulongdu looked at the fallen Dragonite. He really wanted to cry without tears. Unexpectedly, the seemingly weak Pikachu actually solved his trump card Pokémon Dragonite in 3 or 2 moves. There was a wail in my heart. It's fine if you can't beat Cynthia who has a beast, but you can't even beat Crimson. With the passage of time, Kaihong, who gained the advantage, took advantage of the situation and defeated Yulongdu and challenged Dandy in the battle with Dandy. Although Dandy has already made sufficient preparations, but in the end, Kaihong relied on a little advantage to finally win Emperor Dan. So far, Crimson's ranking has also risen to 3rd, after Kaluni and Sabrina. The defeat of Dandy and Yulongdu gave Stephen and Wallace of Hoenn region hope. Both of them launched a challenge. Relying on the legends that they have just subdued, the two can be regarded as emerging. Dragon Crossing's flying Pokémon can't break through Stephen's or Eberg barrier. At the same time, Wallace's water-type Pokémon has many ice-type moves, and it also severely damages the flying-type Pokémon. Both Stephen and Wallace successfully challenged. When fighting against Dandy, Stephen lost accidentally, and Wallace relied on the characteristics of strong recovery ability of the receiving team, abruptly consumed Dandy's Charizard, and finally won the victory with a slight advantage. At this point, all the battles in the entire championship ranking match have ended. On the stage, host Vivian held Matt and said enthusiastically to the audience with a sweet smile, all the battles in this championship ranking match are over. First in line is Miss Cynthia from Sinnoh region. There are 2 people ranked second in terms of points, Miss Kaluni and Miss Sabrina. The 3rd place is the Scarlet representing the Kanto region. 4th place, Wallace from Hoenn region. 5th, it's Dandy of the Galar region. 6th, it's Stephen from Hoenn region. 7th, it is Yulongdu in Johto region. 8th, is Mr. Alder, the champion Viridian Tree. As the ranking is finalized, the expressions of the audience in each region are different. The proudest must be the number 1 Sinnoh region. Secondly, the audience in the Kalos region were all chanting Kaluni's name. The most surprising one is the Unova region. Originally, the expectations of the audience in Unova region were not high, and they were already satisfied to be ranked 7th and 6th. Unexpectedly, Sabrina directly ranked 2nd. The most depressing ones, of course, are the audiences in Gal region and Johta region. After all, before this, they were the 1st and 2nd regions. But now, Emperor Dan fell to 5th place. Yulongdu was even worse, directly ranking 2nd to last. The audience with the best mentality is still the audience in Hoenn region. Wallace is 4th and Steven is 6th, which is not bad. Okay, I believe this year's championship qualifying match will be exciting. All the audience who came to the scene are feasting their eyes. This championship qualifying match is over. Let us look forward to the next championship qualifying match. Vivian stood in the center of the stage, smiling and waving. The lights in the venue began to decrease, no money, and the staff also began to guide the audience to leave. Originally, Veilstone fell to the low position of the champion in this way. But at this moment, a black hole of another dimension appeared in the sky of a spacious venue without any warning. In the black hole, accompanied by bursts of dragon power, everyone was shocked by this sudden picture. In everyone's eyes, an Oreburg's dragon head protruded from the black hole. This is Dialga. Audience from Sinnoh region, shout out. The regional champions who were about to leave also stopped and looked at the legendary Dialga. 335 Cynthia, sisters, this is our man. The god who masters the mysteries of the world, the Dialga who controls the time dimension. The countless Sinnoh audience chanted loudly. In Sinnoh region, there are many statues of the 3 gods of Sinnoh. Even if you haven't seen Dialga in person, most people have seen Dialga. But soon, curiosity arose in people's hearts. Shouldn't the god of time live in the long flow of time? How would it appear here? Just when everyone was wondering, 2-dimensional black holes reappeared in the venue. In the black hole, bursts of dragon power came. Palkia, who is in charge of space, and Giratina, who is in charge of dark matter, both appeared in the venue. Sinnoh 3 gods gather. This scene is so spectacular. The 3 gods of Sinnoh are actually gathered here. What are you doing in a daze? Take out your phone and take pictures. Sinnoh 3 gods in the same frame. This is a once-in-a-lifetime scene. Everyone present took out their mobile phones to take pictures. With such a precious picture, even a regional champion like Steven couldn't help taking out his mobile phone to take pictures like ordinary people. Me 430 quickly operated the mobile phone, made a comparison with Sin and completed a selfie. Then he asked with some doubts, why? The 3 gods of Sinnoh suddenly appeared here. Who are they looking for? As soon as Wallace opened his mouth, he immediately thought of the answer. Who else can I find? Who else but him? At this time, a red light shot out from the Sinnoh guest booth. Reshiram, the dragon of truth, who is pure white and represents holiness, appeared on the spot, on Reshiram's body, riding a person. Sinnoh 3 gods, gather around Jung Iram. All eyes are on a man on Reshiram. Of the 3 gods of Sinnoh with their huge dragon eyes, only one figure is present. That is Mulin. Mulin, who was riding on Reshiram, felt that there was something abnormal about one of the baby balls on Bzai's waist. The baby ball loaded with Ice Dragon Kyurem is a little restless. Then he released the Ice Dragon Kyurem. The Ice Dragon Kyurem surrounded Mulin obediently. Steel Dragon, Water Dragon, Ghost Dragon, Fire Dragon, Ice Dragon, 5 dragons gathered together. They all surrounded Mulin. Such a shocking scene was transmitted to thousands of households in the Pokémon world through live broadcast equipment. Just when everyone thought that the gathering of 5 dragons was the end, the clouds outside the venue surged, and endless turbulence raged. The mighty long Y poured down from the 9 heavens. Rotilda, 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 Rotilda. Feeling the vastness of the 9 heavens, the 5 dragons lowered their noble heads, and roared in unison to welcome the totem who fell from the 9 heavens. Rotilda. The clear, high-pitched dragon chant filled the entire soaring in the sky. In the endless turbulence, a divine dragon as bright as an emerald swung its 100-meter body and fell from the sky. Lord soaring in the sky, supreme myth, dragon god Rayquaza. The hearts of countless spectators are beating violently. Rayquaza is different from other 5 dragons. He is the top existence on the Pyramid of Divine Beast Combat Power, CGC. At the same time, Rayquaza is also the savior in the mythology. Among the adoring eyes of the audience, Rayquaza fell among the 5 dragons. Lowered his noble head. Mulin, who was originally riding on Reshiram, was also transferred to Rayquaza. This simple action is enough to drive hundreds of thousands of people crazy. Mulin, rule the 6 dragons, and ride on Rayquaza. This is the F-King Strong One. There are 6 Pokémon in total, which just make up a team. If Mulin also participates in the championship ranking competition, he will directly crush and become the first. What dandy! What Yulongdu! In front of the 6 divine beasts, They are all scumbags. Nothing. Mulin, this is the real strong. He is the #1 trainer in the world. Dandy looked at Mulin, who was riding on Rayquaza from a distance and was envied by everyone, and he couldn't help being envious too. Mulin, the peak human in the Pokemon world. In 1,000 years, there is probably no one who can control the 6 dragons like him. Steven sighed. People like Mulin are really dazzling. No wonder no matter how hard you chase, you can't catch up with him. Wallace said in a low voice. Mulin ... He is the real dragon trainer, and his dragons are all real dragons. Yolongdu was in a complicated mood. Cynthia, Kaluni, and Sabrina stared at Mulin in the sky. Cynthia said to the 2 girls beside her in a gentle voice, "Sisters, this is our man." A person who is envied and admired by everyone. Mulin, who rides on Rayquaza and is admired by hundreds of thousands of people, feels a little heavy in his heart. Sin and Celestic Rayquaza came together to find him, which is probably a big deal. Very likely, it is that thing. Alpaca, may wake up. 336 Arceus awakening is a foregone conclusion. Region on the north side of Lily of the Valley. Longway bursts. Steel dragons, water dragons, ghost dragons, fire dragons, ice dragons, including the dragon god Rayquaza, all in a circle. Cynthia also brought Ampharos Zekrom, and joined the gathering of dragons. Kaluni and Sabrina join with Yutal and Mutwo, respectively. Neither Yutal nor Mutwo has a dragon type, and they seem a bit abrupt and out of place among a group of dragons. Yutal whispered. For some reason, Yutal, who felt excluded in the environment of the gathering of dragons, looked at Mutwo, who had been unhappy before. Okay, it doesn't seem to be as annoying as before. Mutwo glanced arrogantly at Yutal, and followed Sabrina with her arms crossed. Among the various beasts, Mulin stood in the middle, facing the 3 gods of sin, and slowly said, "You came to find me because of him?" Complex emotions appeared in the eyes of the 3 gods of sin. 3 points of fear, 3 points of respect, and the remaining 4 points of worry. Dialga's deep voice sounded. Time, space, and antimatter belong to 3 different planes, and they all fluctuate frequently. Only Further God has the ability to influence these 3 planes. Arceus. Mulin looked deeply, and then asked, "How long is it before he wakes up?" Dialga shook his head silently. "When Father God will wake up, we can't accurately guess with our ability, but the approximate time, that is, these few days. If it is fast, it will be 2 or 3 days. If it is slow, it will be 4 or 5 days. We are here to ask for your help." "I see. Let me think of a countermeasure." Mulin walked aside silently, rubbing his temples slowly. Sabrina didn't know much about Arceus. Seeing Mulin's troubled expression, she walked up to Cynthia and asked softly, "Sister Cynthia, isn't Arceus the legendary creator god? Why does his waking up seem to give Mulin a headache?" Kaluni, who is not a native of Sinnoh, doesn't know much about Arceus, so she walked to Cynthia's side and waited for her explanation. "Hey." Cynthia sighed heavily. According to ancient legends, Arceus, who has a complete stone slab, has the ability to open up the world. But such a powerful supreme legend was deceived by humans 3,000 years ago, lost the life orb that was so important to him. And, under the plan of ancient humans, Arceus was hit hard and fell into a deep sleep. According to the records in ancient books, Arceus once expressed his hatred for human beings before he fell into a deep sleep, and threatened that when he wakes up again, the world will be destroyed. Sabrina and Kaluni opened their mouths wide in surprise when they heard this. The highest legend Arceus and humans still have such a festival. Then how can we appease Arceus' anger? Kaluni asked hastily. I don't know. But I know one thing. The hatred that has lasted for thousands of years cannot be quelled with a few words. Cynthia looked at Mulin, who was thinking silently, and said with hope, "As for how to do it, listen to Mulin." Okay. Sabrina and Kaluni both focused their gazes on Mulin. Mulin's brain is spinning rapidly at this moment, constantly thinking about the countermeasures. Traveled to this world with Pokémon, met so many interesting people, and formed a partner with Cynthia and the others. It can be said that now Mulin is full of deep fetters to this world. He didn't want the world to be destroyed and the beautiful life to be ruined. In the theatrical version, Arceus suffered a lot of injuries because he had to resist a huge meteorite falling from the sky. And likewise, Mega Flash Rayquaza shattered meteorite. It can be seen that no matter how strong Arceus is, there are limits. Especially his slate, not exactly contest condition. After calculation, Mulin probably knew how strong Arceus was. Once it is clear, I will have a bottom in my heart. If you want to calm down a beast, the best way is to subdue him first, and then slowly reason. Even if Mulin knew that Arceus' anger came from Damos' betrayal, Mulin told the awakened Arceus, "Damos didn't betray you back then. You are just being blinded." Will Arceus believe it? Have a chicken. If you don't directly send out a judgment, you are already in good temper. In other words, now is to gather all the forces that can be used to fight and persuade Arceus. I really can't be persuaded. At that time, Dialga will need the ability to go back in time, go back to that night 3,000 years ago, and change the course of history. So far, Yuppie has a solution in his mind. 337 Groudon, never a slave! Hoenn region. Mount Chimney Peak. Mulin, Cynthia, Sabrina, Kaluni, all gathered here. Mulin took out a scarlet orb and shouted to the tumbling magma, "Groudon, come out!" Crash, crash. The high-temperature magma of thousands or tens of thousands of degrees churned like boiling water, setting off bursts of high temperature. Alakazam, use light screen. Sabrina cleared her throat. Alakazam transformed into a mirror light screen, effectively isolating the high-temperature airwaves. There was a rough growl, making the magma roll more and more violently. The god of the earth, Groudon, woke up from the magma 883. His red eyes were full of doubts. Isn't this the successor of Big Brother Rayquaza? Something? Mulin said in a deep voice. Groudon, there will be a battle in a while. I need you to help me. In order to deal with the crisis of world annihilation that Arceus may bring, it is necessary to gather all available forces. Groudon, who can perform primal reversion, can't fly, but his strength is not bad. Groudon nodded slightly. Who is Mulin? Heir to Big Brother Rayquaza. He wants to ask himself to help fight. No problem. After all, the face of the Big Brother Rayquaza has to be given. And Groudon is also a master who likes to fight. Seeing that Groudon had no objection, Mulin took out a luxury ball. Groudon, and it will score. When Groudon saw the baby ball in Mulin's hand, he immediately shook his head. Who is he? He is Groudon, god of the earth. Make him curl up in a baby ball? Where does this leave the dignity of the god of the earth? Dabba, dabba dabba. Definitely don't get caught in the baby ball like a normal Pokémon. Through Groudon's expression, Inrin understood Groudon's meaning. He rolled his eyes helplessly. This Groudon, it really doesn't have a clue. He opened his mouth and said, "The fight I mentioned just now took place in the Sinnoh region. It's at least 3,000 kilometers away from here. If I don't put you in the ball, how can I take you there? Is it possible that you are going to Sinnoh region? You say you can fly, but you can't fly, and by the time you get to the battlefield, the daylily will be cold." Groudon's red eyes rolled frequently, thinking about what Mulin said just now. How to say, it seems that there is a little truth. But why does it sound so harsh? Gah, he's mocking me that I can't fly. Zizzy, how dare you? Groudon let out a roar, expressing his dissatisfaction. Under the roar, the light screen created by Alakazam was crumbling. "I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Hurry up and score a goal." Mulin pressed a button on the baby ball, and fling out the luxury ball. Groudon blocked a baby ball from Mulin fling with a headbutt. The majestic god of the earth must not be collected into the treasure ball like ordinary Pokémon. Groudon, never be a slave. Groudon expressed his attitude with actions. Rayquaza. With a thought in Mulin's mind, a turbulent current surged in the sky. Rayquaza jumped over the turbulence and descended on Mount Chimney's sky. Rayquaza told Groudon in an imperative tone, to listen to Mulin obediently. Groudon shrunk his neck subconsciously when he saw his big brother Rayquaza coming. "If you keep pinking, believe it or not, I dropped this speed. For the rest of your life, you will not be able to enter the contest condition of returning to primal." While speaking, Mulin held up the scarlet bead in his hand. "Don't. You can't do it. It's absolutely impossible." Under the threats of Mulin and Rayquaza, Groudon is scared. "If you don't listen to Rayquaza, you will be beaten." Offended Mulin, "Drop that red orb. Then he will be completely cold. Can't enter primal reversion. That means old enemy Kyogre will suppress him forever." Groudon quickly said with growl, "Isn't it just a goal? What a deal. Clean up some useless things, and waste my time. I have to go to see Route 127 later and collect Kyogre." After Mulin finished speaking, Fling released the luxury ball. "Kyogre is going to be charged too? It seems to be okay." Groudon felt much better when he heard that Mulin also wanted Kyogre in the goal. Mulin picked up the luxury ball loaded with Groudon, put the 4.0 on his waist, and was ready to go to the next place. Besides Kyogre, he also needs to go to the Kalos region, find Xerneas and ask her to help too. Go back and talk to Zygarde by the way. After all, it is related to the safety of the entire Pokémon world, so let him experience it too. The 3 dragons of Tau, the 3 gods of Sinnoh, the 3 gods of Hoenn, Vutal, Xerneas, Zygarde, and Mewtwo. Even if Arceus is made of iron, the combination of so many beasts should be able to restrain him a little bit. 338 This rage has fermented for 3,000 years. Sinnoh region. Mishina ruins dilapidated temple. On Mulin's left and right shoulders, there is a green cell egg lying on each side. The abdomens of these 2 eggs are red and blue respectively. These 2 cell eggs are Zygarde's red core and blue core respectively. They were specially invited by Mulin to Kalos Earth for help. Although the first encounter with Zygarde was not so good, but Zygarde still knows the general situation, knowing that if Arceus really gets angry, the Kalos region will not be in good shape. Naturally, he joined Mulin's team. Just different from Groudon and others, Mulin did not receive the 2 cores into the baby ball. After all, Zygarde's status is higher than Groudon's. Face still has to be given. Mulin, the residents around Mygina have been evacuated, and now this area is safe. Cynthia's voice sounded. As the champion of Sinnoh region, Corona launched an emergency plan and evacuated the surrounding residents. Well, Thanks for your hard work. Mulin turned around and saw 4 women standing behind him. In addition to Cynthia, Kaluni, and Sabrina, there is also a woman with yellow hair standing. The yellow-haired woman was holding a box in her hand. Mulin, this is Miss Hina from Mishina Ruins Temple. Cynthia introduced to Mulin, Miss Hina, her ancestors have lived in Mishina for generations. She is the person who knows the whole Myjina best. After finishing speaking, Cynthia nodded towards Hina, and Hina bowed slightly, then took a step forward and spoke slowly. In Mijna now, the land is rich and full of vitality. However, 3,000 years ago, this place was a desolate forbidden land where crops could not grow. The earth cannot provide any nutrients, and even the tenacious weeds cannot take root here. It is Arceus, the god of creation, who revived the desolate land. Arceus, the god of creation, lent the gem of life that can restore the world to life, and let the earth radiate vitality again. The ancestors who were troubled by barrenness, they were too afraid that the land would return to barrenness, so they came up with the idea of occupying the gem of life. With this thought, it can't be stopped. The ancestors organized a conspiracy and seriously injured Arceus, the god of creation. As a descendant of Myjina, I am ashamed of the betrayal of my ancestors. Mulin nodded slightly. The basic situation was similar to what Hina said. But there is one thing that Hina is not clear about. Her ancestor, that is, Deimos, did not betray Arceus. Deimos was framed and lost his power. This caused Arceus to fall into toxic quicksilver. But it's normal that Hina doesn't know this. After all, even Arceus himself doesn't know. After being silent for a while, Hina continued, my ancestors committed unforgivable crimes, and as a younger generation, I have to make up for the mistakes. As he spoke, he was ashamed of the box he was holding in his hand. A radiant orb was displayed in front of everyone. This one is the life gem that Arceus lent back then. Return this precious gem of life, hoping to obtain the forgiveness of the Creator God. I hope this can appease the anger of Lord Arceus, his hatred and curse towards human beings. Hearing that there was a solution, the eyes of the 3 girls headed by Cynthia brightened. But Mulin was not happy at all, because he knew that the life treasure jade that Hina was holding was a fake. The real treasure of life is estimated to have been lost in the torrent of time. It's just that although Mulin knew the truth, he couldn't speak out to everyone. Mulin was silent for a while, then slowly said to Hina, Arceus was seriously injured and fell into a deep sleep for 3,000 years. Do you think that 3,000 years of rage can eliminate Zed so easily? Hina swayed her face, just like what Mulin said. Comparing my heart to my heart, if she is Arceus, she has been betrayed for 3,000 years. This rage has fermented for 3,000 years. What will become? It is estimated that Arceus has already passed on the blame for Deimos to everyone. Destroying all human beings is probably what Arceus wants to do most. Although she felt confused in her heart, Hina had no choice but to just try. What if? Really made Arceus' rage subside. Just as Mulin was about to speak, he suddenly felt an overwhelming coercion. At the same time, everyone felt the strong coercion of heaven and earth. Get off, Zeus, wake up. Mulin led the crowd, quickly ran out of the ruins of the temple, and looked up. I saw a mysterious different dimensional space appeared in the sky. A sacred creature stepped out of the void slowly. This creature is not big in size, only about 30 meters long. Its body is white in color, and its appearance is similar to that of a Kylin, a centaur, and its hooves are golden. In the middle of the body is a golden ornament of a cross called Thousand Universe Wrist. Here it is, Arceus. With the appearance of Arceus, accompanied by the deep and heavy pressure, it made everyone feel difficult to breathe, as if a huge boulder weighed heavily on their hearts. 339 The Alpaca was betrayed 3,000 years ago, and was fooled 3,000 years later. PokéMon, Arceus the slate is missing contest condition? Ability, multiple attributes. My attribute will change according to the attribute of the slate you hold. Level, 100, Genesis level. Skills, Cosmic Power, Earth Power, Hyper Voice, Extreme Speed, Hyper Beam, Recover. Exclusive Skill, Judgment. Contest Condition, Incomplete. Lack of slate makes it impossible to display all abilities. Remarks, in mythology, it is described as the earliest Pokémon born before the universe existed, so it is also called the god of creation. Genesis class. As expected of an alpaca, when Mulin found out that the level of Arceus was 1 level higher than that of Mega Flash Rayquaza through the system's investigation function, he clenched his fists tightly. Deimos, Arceus stood quietly in the air, his green eyes staring at the beautiful and rich Myjina. This originally barren land was reborn with his gift. But it is also this land that witnessed the whole process of Arceus being deceived, the chief culprit who kept him silent for 3,000 years. It is the people of this land. Deimos, rage attracted Arceus' eyes, which were filled with a creepy red glow. Deimos, humanity. They are all untrustworthy. Destroy everything. Exterminate humanity. The rage that Arceus had brewed for 3,000 years finally broke out at this moment. He raised his head high and shot a strong light towards soaring in the sky. For a moment, a fiery red ray shot up into the sky. This is Arceus' exclusive skill, Judgment. The judgment exploded in the sky, and the light spots in the sky were like meteorite normal falling towards Mygina. What the beautiful meteorite brought was a disaster. Boom, boom. The endless sound of destruction came, turning the originally rich Mygina into a wasteland in an instant. Arceus, so strong. Vertical bar. Mulin's eyes flickered slightly. Arceus' move was similar to the dragon stars of the dragon family, but its power was astonishing. Most importantly, this judgment will also change due to the attribute of Arceus. Master Quang Shishan, please don't. Ina shouted loudly, holding the box. Arceus, who vented a round of attacks, seemed to have eased up a bit. He stared at Ina with blood-red eyes, and the old and majestic telepathy sounded. Where is Deimos? Deimos is my ancestor. He is long dead. Sheena musters up the courage to confront Arceus' question. Deimos is dead? That's right. It's been so long, he should be dead too. Arceus' voice seemed to be a little bit undetectable, very faint, very light, almost unrecognizable. As a descendant of Deimos, Ina believes that she is obliged to redeem the sins committed by her ancestors, and takes a step forward with the box in her hand. Master Quang Shishan, this is your life gem. My ancestors deceived you because of their greed for precious jade. Now return the precious jade to you, and please forgive my ancestors for their mistakes. Leave Mygina alone, and human beings. Xena put the life gem aside, then bowed and retreated. My life gem? Exclamation mark. Arceus slowly flew to the front of the life gem and felt it silently. Then the bright golden hoof stabbed. The life precious jade cracked at the sound. Ina was stunned on the spot. In the heart of Arceus, rage's fire blazed. The gem of life is a part of my body. Not so fragile at all. Fool. This is Chihuahua's fooling. Deimos betrayed him 3,000 years ago, and made him fall into silence for 3,000 years. When he repairs his injuries and wakes up again, he was once again fooled by the descendants of Deimos. This double rage made Arceus go berserk. Rage's flame has completely burned Arceus' heart red. He raised his head high again, and launched judgment towards soaring in the sky. The terrifying impact bombarded the entire Mygina. Boom, boom. The creation level Arceus once again demonstrated his ability to destroy the world. Right. Sorry. I don't know, it's fake. Ina knelt on the ground weakly, looking at the devastated Setsuna who had been completely turned into ruins, weeping uncontrollably. Sure enough, things will develop like this. Mulin murmured, knowing that Hina sent the fake life gem. Arceus' anger will rise to another level. But he didn't stop, just watched coldly. Because of this link, a conjecture of Mulin was confirmed. He also has a 100% certainty and backwall about Arceus' rage. 340 Arceus is no longer the god of creation, but becomes the god of destroyer. Facing the creation level Arceus, Mulin knew that he had to make a move at this time, and stepped forward to face the mighty Arceus directly. Shen Sheng said, Arceus, Deimos did not betray you back then. It's all just a misunderstanding. Arceus lowered his blood-red eyes, silently watching Mulin. An old and majestic voice sounded, misunderstanding? Even if thousands of years have passed, human beings are still so cunning and despicable, and the date has not changed. Do you want to deceive God with words in order to survive? Do not. Arceus, this is really a misunderstanding. Mulin explained, back then, Deimos was seized by someone. So, enough. Arceus' majestic voice resounded throughout, soaring in the sky. What misunderstanding? No misunderstanding. Arceus had personally seen Deimos order to attack him. Mulin's explanation, in Arceus' view, was nothing more than lingering and wanting to survive. Humans are such an inferior race that they attack God. 327 inches. Then be prepared to be wiped out by the gods. Arceus has made up his mind to cleanse this world. The dignified atmosphere in the air continued to intensify as Arceus was covered with a faint golden light. This is the performance of Saving's judgment. Arceus is the best and the worst. Because of the fusion of the three divine powers and the fact that he faced Arceus directly, Mulin could clearly feel the rage and spite in his heart. In the original book, Arceus is a creation-level mythical beast. His character is both good and evil. When faced with kindness and respect, Arceus will return the same kindness. But in the face of deceit and betrayal, Arceus, who has power, will resort to violence. Because of this character and the power he possesses, Arceus can be both the protector of all things in the world, and the source of disasters that can destroy the world. Roar tilde Kagai. Arceus let out a dull roar, and immediately shot a red ray towards soaring in the sky. Judgment, come again. At this time, 3 different dimensional spaces appear, representing the space vortex, the time crack, and the antimatter gap respectively. Dialga, Palkia, and Gyaratin appeared one after another, surrounded in front of Mulin, and jointly resisted the judgment that could destroy everything. Seeing Arceus, the 3 gods of Sinnoh, he paused. But when he saw Dialga and the others standing in front of Mulin, he immediately became furious. You guys want to be my enemy? Stand with that human? Roar tilde. Dialga and the others uttered dragon roars to persuade Arceus to calm down. It is good. Very good. My child, you actually want to be my enemy. Arceus' red pupils became more terrifying, and the surging energy seemed to shatter the space at any time. Mulin resisted Arceus' coercion, and said in a deep voice, Arceus, we don't want to be your enemy. It's just that what you saw and thought before was all wrong. Deimos did not betray you. Suddenly, the coercion between heaven and earth was a bit thicker, and the coercive and old voice resounded throughout the earth. Shut up. Arceus stared at Mulin with those red eyes that were about to bleed. Human, what is your identity, since you dare to teach me? Also, I am Arceus, the god of creation. God, you can't be wrong. After saying that, Arceus focused his eyes on the gods on Wangshan. Since you are on the opposite side of me, then die. The rich energy climbed up and turned into a red ball of light that lifted into the sky. The judgment full of anger comes again. Roar tilde. Dialga used the Mew-like blue roar of time, which can affect the flow of time. Roar of time struggled to slow down the falling energy meteorite. Roar tilde. The orange gem on Palkia's right shoulder is brilliant, cutting out a spatial rend that affects the spatial structure. The attack of Arceus lengthened the distance in space. Roar tilde. The ghost dragon Gyratina transformed into a boundless ghost image to bombard the attack under smackdown. Boom. The three gods of Sinnoh teamed up and used their strongest exclusive skills respectively, barely parrying Arceus' attack and protecting Mulin from being affected. Okay, use the power I gave you to deal with money. Traitor, unforgivable. Arceus roared loudly, and the terrifying shockwave shook instantly, and the whole world seemed as fragile as glass in front of Arceus. He fell into a deep sleep because of Deimos' deceit, and was fooled by the descendants of Rhanes just after waking up. Now, the three gods of Sinnoh, created and empowered by him, have teamed up to betray him. Rage has completely squeezed out the remaining rationality in Arceus' mind. At this time, Arceus, from the original god of creation, became the god of destroyer of rage. 341 13 divine beasts fight Arceus together. Arceus, who is full of rage, is the first to vent his anger on the Sinnoh three gods who betrayed him. Roar tilde. With a roar, the situation changed. Energy was accumulated in the head, and a hyper beam was blasted immediately. The target is the Dialga closest to him. In order to protect himself, Dialga could only respond with roar of time. Boom. The two energies collided wildly in the air, but it was obvious that Arceus was stronger. Destroy the death light with an overwhelming offensive, savagely advancing, and finally the energy burst on Dialga's body. Roar tilde. Dialga screamed in pain and fell towards the ground. Even if he is the attribute of Steel plus Dragon, it has certain resistance to the normal type of hyper beam, but it couldn't hold back the strength of Arceus. Smack down Dialga. Arceus' blood eyes lock on water dragon Palkia. Roar tilde. Palkia subconsciously wanted to raise his giant claws to meet him, but Arceus disappeared in front of his eyes in the next second. Arceus rushed in front of him and poured thousands of impacts on Palkia's body. This is Arceus' extreme speed. Roar tilde. The water dragon Palkia was hit by the bombardment and fell towards the ground like Dialga. Arceus, who had just completed his move, suddenly felt a burst of energy fluctuations behind him. That's the dragon pulse of the ghost dragon Gyratina. How dare you? Arceus turned around at an extremely fast speed, and when he turned around, a destructive death light blasted out. The destructive death ray breaks through the dragon pulse, knocking Gyratina straight out. In just 10 seconds, Arceus beat the three gods of Sinnoh so hard. This is not Sinnoh's three gods too strong, but Arceus too strong. After all, how could it be bad to be named Arceus, the god of creation? He saw Arceus who was roaring furiously, his heart completely occupied by rage. Mulin spoke slowly. The best way to stop a wild beast from rampaging is to stun it. After speaking, Mulin nodded to the three women beside him. With just one look, Cynthia and the others understood what Mulin was thinking. Come out, Zekrom. Come out, Vital. Mutwo, please. After a burst of red light, three different auras stood on the spot. Roar tilde. Zekrom instantly entered the overclocking mode, and the dragon's body flickered with lightning. Zichi tilde. Vital surrounds himself with a surging dark aura, which not only improves defense but also strengthens attack. The silent Mutwo automatically entered the Mega Evolution X form, mastering the laws of fighting and superpower. Zekrom, Vital, and Mutwo stood in front of the three women respectively. Feeling the momentum not weaker than Sinnoh's three gods, Arceus did not focus on the three women, but on Mulin, who is the leader among the three women. An ancient, old, and majestic voice sounded. This kind of power is not enough. Facing Arceus directly, Mulin didn't speak, but threw several baby balls in one go. 6 vigorous breaths filled the entire battlefield in an instant. Kyurem the brutal ice dragon, Reshiram the immaculate white, Xerneas the life force, Groudon the earth god, Kyogre the sea god. 6 powerful beasts fly in the air or stand on the ground. Mulin took out the DNA splicers from his bosom, and shouted, blazing fire, immortal ice, heed my call. Ask for flowers. As the voice fell, the white light instantly enveloped Kyurem and Reshiram. Roar tilde. The flame white Kyurem, which is both rude and holy, makes ice and fire blend together. Not enough, Mulin pulled out the Vermilion and Chunwood orbs and headed towards Groudon and Kyogre. Fling. Groudon, Kyogre, enter primal reversion. Roar tilde. As the orb merged into his body, Groudon Jiang Yang displayed the might of the god of the earth. Wu tilde. Kyogre, the god of the sea, makes the sea of Clouds condense water molecules like churning waves. After finishing all this, Mulin said to the two cell eggs on his shoulders, Zygarde, please. Gulililu tilde. Two core cell eggs, one red and one blue, kept calling for their own cells. The endless green light gathered together and turned into a guardian of order. Zygarde in 100% form, standing still. Finally, Mulin turned his gaze to the sky. With a thought, I called out to Rayquaza who lives in the 9 heavens. Roar tilde. The high-pitched and clear dragon chant filled the sky, and Rayquaza landed in the endless turbulence. With one stride, Mulin landed on Rayquaza. The 3 divine powers poured into it, like fuel normal stimulates the powerful energy in Rayquaza's body. Amidst a dragon roar, Rayquaza activated Mega Evolution, advanced to become the strongest form. Totem of the 9 heavens, Mega Flash Rayquaza, gathered 13 beasts. This is the strongest combat power that Mulin can mobilize. 342 Groudon. For the first time in his life, his feet left the ground. In the sky of Medina, many terrifying beasts gathered to confront Arceus. Among them are Mega Flash Rayquaza, Zygarde in 100% form, and Yanbai such top-notch beasts. With so many divine beasts gathered together, it is comparable to Arceus' aura. In the air, there was a thick and oppressive atmosphere. Okay, Arceus's old and majestic voice sounded. You are going to be my enemy. Then let's fight. After the voice fell, the mighty Arceus suddenly disappeared from everyone's eyes. In the next moment, Arceus appeared in front of Primal Groudon. 807 used extreme speed. Carrying terrifying sprinting explosive power, it slammed into Primal Groudon's body horizontally and savagely. Roar tilde. Primal Groudon, who was caught off guard, had no chance to react at all, and was directly blasted out. As the god of the earth, Groudon is often ridiculed for not being able to fly. For the first time in my life, I experienced the thrill of leaving the ground with my feet. Fly. Boom. Primal Groudon smashed down the ground heavily, causing a burst of smoke from the ground. The thick rock armor on his body also had cracks. Arceus hurt the rough-skinned and thick-skinned Primal Groudon with just one move of extreme speed. Woo tilde. The moment Primal Groudon was overturned, Primal Kyogre organized the condensed water element molecules in the sea of clouds to gather into 6 blue balls. Organ Pulse, a quick shot. But this speed is too slow for Arceus. Organ Pulse just shot out, and the next moment Arceus used extreme speed again, and rushed to the front of Kyogre. Like Groudon, Kyogre was also knocked out. It's just that Kyogre is slightly better than Groudon. He has shark fins, and he stabilized his body with a few hits in the air. With 2 consecutive attacks, Mulin knew that even Arceus was beyond his power. Immediately commanded, Urim, turn on the overclocking mode, use Ice Burn. Roar tilde. Yanbai Urim uttered a manic dragon roar, and the entire tail turned red in an instant. In an instant, a breath of ice and fire was shot towards Arceus. Facing Yanbai Urim's attack, Arceus' blood-red eyes showed disdain. The rest of the universe on the body rotates, changing the attribute of the slate. The extremely cold ice burn hit Arceus' body, but it had no effect at all. The energy was completely offset by Arceus' ice-type slate, and even the impact of the energy itself was invisible. The attack is ineffective, because Rin is not discouraged, because he knows that as long as Arceus still retains the corresponding slate, he will have the ability to be immune to the corresponding attribute attack. I asked Yanbai Urim to use Ice Burn just now, just to observe closely and lay a good foundation for the next battle. Arceus lacks electricity, the 5 slates of grass, water, earth, and dragons. As long as you use the corresponding attack, you can cause damage to him. You will play by ear later. Mulin loudly told the 3 girls behind him what he knew, so that they could get ready. Then he turned his attention to Arceus. Arceus with a complete slate is indeed invincible. But the problem is, Arceus in front of him is not invincible. Dialga, Palkia, use time and space skills respectively to slow down the flow of Arceus in time and space. Giratina, you don't need to attack, you are responsible for protecting Dialga. Xerneas, use your vitality to help Groudon and Kyogre recover. Blaziken, use Dragon Pulse. Rayquaza, use Dragon Ascent to speed up, then connect to Breaking Swipe. Following Mulin's order, all the beasts present immediately started to act. The colorful antlers on Xerneas' head shone out from Lucas, and the life energy emperor attached to the bodies of Groudon and Kyogre respectively quickly replenish their energy consumption and complete an auxiliary job well. Roar tilde. The fastest to attack is Sinnoh, who is in charge of time and space. Dialga worked hard to slow down the flow of time around, and Palkia compressed the space as much as possible. All that was done was to slow down Arceus' astonishing speed. Immediately afterwards, the Dragon Ascent buff was turned on, and Mega Flash Rayquaza rushed to Arceus at extreme speed. Using the 100-meter divine body, he whipped down heavily towards Arceus. 2.7 After Lie Kong walked, Zygarde and Yanbai Urim's respective attacks also locked on Arceus one after another. Next to the array, Cynthia Zekrom activated the overclocking mode, shining thousands of thunders. Although Mutworks and Util cannot cause effective damage on attribute, but they all use their abilities to create obstacles to prevent Arceus from moving smoothly. 13 mythical beasts versus Arceus. This peerless battle has finally begun. 343 Although the Alpacas are strong, Rayquaza never gives in. There were strong roars all around Mygina. Among the many divine beasts, the one that can pose the greatest threat to Arceus is the Mega Flash Rayquaza ignited by the 3 divine powers of Mulin. Roar tilde. Arceus' Cosmic Wrist was converted to Ice type. After all, there are many Pokémon and Dragon type present. Pulled a trick blizzard. Endless icy storms lingered around him, carrying the impact of frost towards Mega Flash Rayquaza. Boom! The collision of Arceus and Mega Rayquaza made the whole space tremble. The airwaves generated by the collision between the two sides alone are as powerful as a Category 9 typhoon. Even Rayquaza, who activated Dragon Ascent to improve his physical fitness, was pushed back hundreds of meters by Arceus' counterattack. The 100-meter divine body was also harassed by the ice-light energy. On the other hand, Arceus just paused slightly, gasping for breath, recovering his lost stamina and energy. There is no half 26 damage on his body. Mighty Arceus. It is worthy of being even more terrifying than the first-level god. But fortunately, no matter how strong Arceus is, he is still a loner. Roar tilde. With the overclocking mode turned on, Yanbai Kyurem can condense energy extremely fast, and the powerful Dragon Pulse is almost instantaneous. Boom! The surging energy of the dragon energy turned into a dragon head and bombarded Arceus' body. Roar tilde. Zygarde, the guardian of order, was not to be outdone, and resorted to 1,000 waves of shock. Tens of thousands of ground-type energy condensed needles all bombarded towards Arceus. Boom! Another round of strong explosions. It was followed by Zekrom's Fusion Bolt, and Primal Kyogre's Organ Pulse. Because of the time-space constraints of Opelucid, as well as the constraints of Mutwox and Yutal, let all the attacks fall on Arceus. Attributes such as Dragon, Electricity, Water, and Ground are all attributes of Arceus' missing slate, which also means that Arceus is not immune. You guys, don't forgive me. Arceus' old, majestic voice contained boundless anger. Just now the gods joined forces, even Arceus felt the pain. Roar tilde. The rest of the universe bloomed with dazzling brilliance. Arceus raised his head and sang in a boundless, ancient tone. Golden characters danced in the air. Visible to the naked eye, the injuries on Arceus have healed. At the same time, an ancient force covered Arceus' body, as if put on a layer of golden armor. This piece of armor greatly strengthens the attack and defense. Here it is, Cosmic Power. In Pokédex, there is such a word to describe Arceus. Arceus is the earliest Pokémon born before the universe existed. This is why Arceus was able to mobilize the Cosmic Power for his own use. Roar tilde. Rage's Arceus accumulated energy and shot a blue light high into the sky. Exclusive skill, Judgment. Only this time the Judgment attribute is Ice type. Boom, boom. Thousands of frosts fell from the sky, falling continuously. In desperation, Mulin Zongnin shouted, "Everyone be careful." Most of the mythical beasts present have dragon attributes, especially Zygarde of the ground plus dragon type is subject to quadruple restraint and can only dodge around. But among the beasts, the most embarrassing one is not Zygarde, who is 4 times weaker than ice. Frost fell from the sky, and the energy contained in it was very powerful. Although Zygarde is 4 times weaker than ice, it is not very difficult to dodge this kind of area of effect skill. After all, he can fly, and he easily dodges as soon as he flies out. The other Pokémon are similar. Everyone can fly. If you can't hold it, you can hide. Groudon can't fly. Sorry, he can only use his feet to run, dodging the icy energy falling from the sky. But the problem is, how can running be faster than flying? While all Pokémon, except for Groudon, Xerneas can't fly. But Xerneas is small, can dodge flexibly. Primal Groudon is nearly 100 meters in size. How does this hide 830? Where to hide? In desperation, Primal Groudon could only resist. The terrifying judgment finally stopped. Mulin immediately seized the gap between Arceus' release of skills, and commanded loudly, "It's now." Everyone go together. What responded to him was the growl of a group of mythical beasts. Rayquaza, continue to activate Dragon Ascent. Use Dragon Ascent to dive. Roar tilde. Mega Flash Rayquaza changed from the previous clear and high-pitched growl, and issued a dragon chant that made soaring in the sky turbulent. Even though Arceus is really strong, the proud Rayquaza will never give in. Take the lead in attacking Arceus. Roar tilde. Roar tilde. All the beasts also followed Mega Flash Rayquaza, launching their own attacks on Arceus in panic. Chapter 344. Poor Alpaca. Do you have any other abilities? Under the repeated bombing by Judgment, Mygina has long since lost its rich and prosperous scene. The land is barren, not a blade of grass grows, and there are only endless potholes on the ground. But this is not the most important thing. What really mattered was the 13 beasts, plus the crazy battle of Arceus, which put Mygina's space on the verge of collapse. Even with Giratina on the side using antimatter to stabilize space, it's only teetering on the edge. Roar tilde. Arceus slammed Palkia to the ground powerfully, then stomped on Palkia's body with golden hooves, and opened the energy accumulated in his mouth. A move of Hyper Beam. pouring on Palkia's body at close range. Just when Palkia was screaming in pain, Mega Flash Rayquaza, carrying the endless turbulence, used the Dragon God to dive and came to the rescue. With the force of the impact, Arceus was knocked away. Afterwards, the moves of the gods and beasts quickly followed. Flame White Kyurem's Dragon Pulse, Zygarde's Core Enforcer, Primal Groudon's Precipice Blades, Primal Kyogre's Organ Pulse, and Zekrom on the sidelines also used Fusion Bolt one after another. Various attribute attacks bombarded Arceus' body, sending out continuous roars. Dust battle so far. The two sides have been fighting for half an hour. It can be said that the fighting situation was extremely tragic. Primal Groudon's lava armor has long been broken into pieces. Primal Kyogre's situation is not much better. The huge body of the fish is full of large and small scratches. Zygarde, Flame White Kyurem, including Black Flash Rayquaza have no obvious scars, but the continuous mobilization of energy also makes them close to exhaustion. Even if it is a powerful first-level god, the situation of other Pokémon is not optimistic. Cynthia's Zekrom, unable to activate overclocking mode due to overdraw energy. Mutwox and Yveltal, the energy also fell into the void. The three gods of Sin and Giratina withdrew from the battle first because they wanted to stabilize the space. Needless to say, Palkia suffered a terrifying hyper beam, and is now lying in the pothole very weak. Dialga is the only one who maintains the best contest condition in the field. For Dialga, Mulin specifically told him not to get too involved in the fight. And the situation of Arceus, which lacks the slate, is not ideal. Energy and stamina are almost exhausted. After all, two fists are no match for four hands. Traitor. F. King Traitor! Degrees. Arceus felt severe pain all over his body, and the pain in his body caused the hatred in his heart to continuously accumulate and expand. Why? All betray me. The scarlet blood eyes swept across the crowd of beasts. It was a chilling gaze. Arceus didn't understand why these legends would stand against him. Obviously he was betrayed by humans, forced to sleep for 3,000 years. Now, he is awake again. He's looking for a human retaliate. Is this wrong? Alone, helpless, unaccompanied. All eyes are full of enemies. Arceus felt sad. Taking advantage of the brief truce, Mulin stroked the hard dragon scales on Rayquaza's body, and moved a little closer to where Arceus was. He said in a low voice, Arceus, we should not have hated each other from the beginning. The blood in Arceus' eyes soared. Human, are you pitying me? The old, majestic voice was mixed with boundless anger. Mulin sighed. Arceus after the battle, instead of calming down, became more sensitive. Facing the bloody eyes on the other side, he said in a deep voice, Arceus, I never meant to offend you, but 3,000 years ago, what you saw was not the truth, and Inmos did not. Shut up. Upon hearing the name of Damus, Arceus roared, absurd. I saw the scene at that time with my own eyes. There will never be a fake. Mulin also wanted to speak up, explaining that the Damus that Arceus saw at the beginning was faked. It's a pity that the current Arceus can't listen to it at all. Humans, don't think that if they stand on your side, they have the ability to fight against me. Since I can create, I have the ability to destroy. After all, Arceus' blood eyes turned crimson and terrifying. The terrifying coercion made the big capillaries stand up. A rage, a wounded beast, is when he fights at his strongest. Even relying on the powerful combat power of all the beasts, they forced Arceus down forcefully, for the king's good. But what about after that? Stubborn Arceus is unlikely to change his mind. Also, as Arceus said just now, since he can create, he has a history of destruction. Perhaps, as the creator god, Arceus also possesses abilities that Mulin doesn't know about. And if the fight continues like this, Myogena may be directly removed from the Cinemap, which is very likely. At this point, I can only use that trick. Mulin turned his gaze to Dialga, whose physical strength and energy were relatively intact. 345 Mulin, go back in time. There is a bug. Dialga, use the power of time reversal. Teleport me back 3,000 years. Mulin shouted loudly to Dialga. In the original book, the three gods of Sin are hammered into dogs by Arceus. In order to appease Arceus' anger, Dialga used the ability to go back in time, sending the stupid thing back to Myogena 3,000 years ago. Break Chisen's conspiracy, regain the life orb, and solve Arceus' misunderstanding. Just like that, Arceus returned to calm after nearly 3,000 years. Although he already knew about this method, Mulin did not choose to use it for a long time. After all, going back in time to change the past will immediately form a butterfly effect, causing the passage of time. Small changes can lead to huge changes in the future. Moreover, there is great uncertainty. But now, it has come to an end without this trick. If you hit it again, the space will shatter and Myogena will disappear. Rotilda. The energy of Dialga rippled out, forming a transparent shield to wrap Mulin 213 inside. With the changes, Mulin's figure is getting weaker and weaker. Humanity. Arceus with blood-red eyes watched Mulin's changes coldly. Dialga's ability to change time is given by him. He knows what Mulin's change means now. Suddenly, a strange energy shot out and attached to Mulin's body. In a luxurious and spacious palace, a tiny different dimensional space appeared. Traveling through time, Mulin, who went back to the past, appeared. Scanning the surrounding environment, Mulin murmured, "This should be the palace built by Demos. The time should be before Amos and Arceus agreed to meet." Just as Mulin was thinking, a voice came from behind. "Who are you?" Mulin turned around and saw soldiers in ancient costumes holding spears. Beside the soldier was an Arcanine with a fierce expression. Apparently dressed strangely, Mulin, who appeared suddenly, was regarded as an intruder by the patrolling soldiers. Mulin sensed Arcanine's level through the system's detection function, and couldn't help sighing. The peak of the gymnasium? A patrolling soldier can actually carry the Arcanine at the peak of the gymnasium. In ancient times, living conditions were not as good as in modern times. It is precisely because of the need to prey and survive and the harsh environment that the ancient Pokémon were stronger and fiercer. After all, in today's Pokémon battles, it's okay to fail. Take it to Miss Joey to heal for a while, and you'll be fine. But the ancient Pokémon, once they lose the battle with rival, what awaits them is likely to be death. Just when Mulin was lamenting the strength of the ancient Pokémon, the patrolling soldiers immediately raised their spears when they saw that he did not reply for a long time. "Arcanine, take him down." Arcanine, who was ordered, faithfully carried out the orders of the soldiers. The broad paw slapped the ground heavily, opened its mouth to reveal the fangs, and ran towards the big one quickly. "Humphrey." Mulin snorted softly. Arcanine, who was at the top of the gym, didn't seem to be a threat at all to him. "You know," his hand held. "Lucario. Big Dragonite, Darkrai, Silver. The one with the weakest strength has also reached the level of the ultimate third-level god. The pinnacle of mid-gymnasium. What can he bear?" Just when Mulin reached out to touch the baby ball pinned to his waist, and was about to take out a counterattack. "Stretch out your hand, but feel loneliness." The baby ball pinned to the waist is all gone. "What?" Mulin was shocked. But at this moment, Arcanine opened her fangs and rushed in front of him. There was no time for Mulin to react, so he could only use the 3 divine powers in his body in a hurry to roll up a transparent air wave to form a protective shield to block Arcanine's attack. Boom! Caught off guard, Arcanine bumped into his arms, completely unaware that there was something blocking him in the transparent front. Mulin, who took the next blow, felt extremely depressed. Taking advantage of this moment, he quickly checked his whole body. All the baby balls have disappeared. In other words, right now he doesn't have a single Pokémon. How is this different from the movie version? Mulin felt extremely bitter in his heart. In his impression, cheeks in this conspiracy, he owns a legendary Heatran. These ordinary patrol soldiers, they can have their Arcanine at the peak of the gym. Presumably that Heatran is definitely not weak. In addition, there are a large number of powerful Pokémon. Although Mulin has 3 divine powers, it is too much for him to fight a group of Pokémon. This is the end of the calf. I knew back in time. There is a bug. Just as Mulin was howling, Arcanine rushed over again. Mulin cursed secretly, and could only deal with the current crisis. The 3 divine powers overflowed the body, rolled up a small whirlwind, and blew Arcanine high into the sky, and then landed heavily. With a bang, Arcanine fell dazed. Seeing this, the patrolling soldier holding a long gun took out an unknown object and threw it heavily towards ground. Puff. A puff of warning. Yellow smoke drifts in the wind. 346 Rayquaza, did you know this person before? In the wide palace of Mygina, the soldiers quickly searched around the palace with weapons. Because just now, they saw yellow smoke coming from inside the palace. This also indicates that someone has invaded the palace. At this time, Mulin, in order to avoid being hunted down, hid in a secret compartment. Now that he doesn't have any Pokémon on hand, it's giving him a headache. 3,000 years ago, Xiao and the others were not even born. So it is impossible to bring Pokémon back. Even if he is a big man, he has only lived for more than 1,000 years, and he has not yet been born. Wait, Rayquaza should have lived 3,000 years ago? In other words, I can now summon Rayquaza to help. Thinking of this, Mulin quickly used the 3 divine powers to sense Rayquaza's breath. It's just a pity that Rayquaza didn't get a response from the 3 divine powers released. Just when Mulin was trying to contact Rayquaza, a soldier with a Mythical came near Mulin's hiding place. Mythical sniffed her surroundings vigorously, then barked violently. I have a situation here. The soldier sensed something was wrong, immediately took out his spear, pointed it at the darkness, and shouted, "Come out, don't come out again. I'm going to do it." As the soldiers shouted, other soldiers scattered around also quickly focused on them. Mulin, who was hiding in the dark, had no choice but to evacuate temporarily. Quickly rushed out from the darkness, summoned the 3 divine powers with both hands, created a whirlwind, spun away Taina who was blocking the front, and then ran quickly. Hurry up! He fled towards the square. The soldiers commanded their respective Pokémon, and chased in the direction where Mew left. Many of the soldiers who participated in the hunt carried Pokémon with a developed sense of smell such as Taina, Stoutland, and Houndoom. No matter how fast Mewlin was and how sensitive his position was, he still couldn't get rid of the soldiers following him. Soon, in the spacious square of the palace, Mewlin was forced to be helpless, surrounded by a group of soldiers leading Pokémon. The Pokémon around are of high order, at the very least. They have all reached the peak of the gymnasium. Elite level is no longer a minority. Mewlin, who was surrounded by a crowd of Pokémon, could not help but smile bitterly. Among the soldiers, a path was automatically separated. A man in a red robe and a sun crown came out from the crowd of soldiers. There are two Pokémon beside him, one is Bronzong, and the other is the legendary Heatran. Obviously, this person is the one who conspired to imprison Damos and poison Arceus with mercury. Chizin. Bronzong, the lower third-level god. Heatran, the upper third-level god. Through the system's search function, seeing the level of the two Pokémon made Mewlin even more dizzy. Although he contains three divine powers, the power of Wave Guide, the power of Ordinary Pan, and the power of Superpower, he can be said to be the pinnacle of human beings. But the problem is that he is still not a humanoid Pokémon, and he cannot fight against the third-level god rival. Cheeksin looked at Mewlin, who was dressed completely differently from them, with a cold expression on his face. According to the report of his subordinates, this young man in strange clothes is different from other human beings. In addition to being agile, she also seems to know magic. Maybe in normal times, he still has the intention to chat with this different person a few more times, but tonight is different, because tonight is a crucial day for him to realize his important plan. Absolutely cannot have a little mistake. With a cold face, he said, "Guards, kill this intruder." Yes, yes, yes. The soldiers held their spears and pressed forward with their respective Pokémon. Task for flowers. Mewlin looked over Heatran, who was walking in the front, showing sharp fangs and sharp claws. His gaze was firmly locked on Cheeksin's body. Catch the thief first and capture the king. You can only fill in one. See if we can break through that Bronzong's defense and take down Chizin directly. The three divine powers in Mewlin's body gathered frantically, preparing for a desperate fight. At this time, soaring in the sky has brought a change. The moon, originally bright and clean, hangs in the sky. Moonlight scattered the earth, covering the earth with a layer of fluorescent light. But in an instant, the endless turbulence covered the moon. Moonlight also disappeared. Heatran, who was walking in the forefront, looked up at the sky in horror, and let out a vigilant roar from his throat. The rest of the Pokémon have beat up Mewlin also stared at the sky vigilantly. A dark green figure, swinging a 100-meter body, fell from a high altitude. With his appearance, there is a heavy coercion. The clear, high-pitched dragon chant filled the entire soaring in the sky, showing the arrogance of the nine heavens, revealing the coercion of the Lord soaring in the sky. Seeing the familiar figure, Mewlin waved excitedly. "Rayquaza, I'm here." Rayquaza swung his 100-meter body and quickly came to Mewlin. Looking at the tiny human in front of him, the huge dragon's expression is full of doubts. "This person, did you know him before?" Mewlin ignored these, but skillfully jumped onto Rayquaza's back and grabbed his hard dragon scale. Sudden change caught Rayquaza off guard. Bold. How dare a mere human being ride on him? 3473000 years ago, I met Lie Kongzo. Among Mewlin's Pokémon, the most special Pokémon is Rayquaza. Other Pokémon, even as strong as Kyurem, are stored in treasure balls by Mewlin. Only Rayquaza, Mewlin has never used the baby ball. What connects the two of them is not a small baby ball. It is a bond of life and death that has gone through several battles. This is such a bond that establishes an inseparable connection between the hearts of both parties. Although Rayquaza 3,000 years ago didn't know Mewlin, and wanted to get angry because Mewlin was riding on him. Just when Rayquaza was about to unleash his anger, Mewlin said, "Rayquaza, fly up." Subconsciously, Rayquaza swung Baiami's 290 body and flew high in the air. Wait, wrong. Surprised Rayquaza is dumbfounded. Why would I listen to this human being? With a swing of the divine body, the dragon head stared at Mewlin on the back. Seeing that Rayquaza's huge dragon eyes were full of doubts, Mewlin was also puzzled. "Rayquaza, didn't you hear my call? That's why you came here?" Rayquaza is full of questions. Originally, he stayed well in the ozone layer, but suddenly his heart trembled, as if he had an extra worry in his heart. Then he took the initiative to fly towards the induction in his heart. Seeing the doubt in Rayquaza's eyes, Mewlin explained, "Rayquaza, my name is Mewlin, from 3,000 years later. It's your inheritor. In the future, we won the title of the strongest dragon, completed Mega Evolution, learned Mega Dragon Ascent, and transformed into Mega Flash. 3,000 years later? The strongest dragon? Mega Evolution? Never heard of it." The doubt in Rayquaza's eyes was even worse. Could it be that he is fooling me? But it's not like it. His eyes are clear. It doesn't look like he is lying. Seeing that Lie Kongzo still didn't believe in himself, Mewlin used the three divine powers in his body and injected them into Rayquaza's body. The moment the three divine powers were injected, Rayquaza felt that all the cells in his body had been strengthened at the epic level, as if he had put on a normal layer of armor. Rayquaza feels that he has become a lot stronger at this time, because there is a hazy fetter in his heart, coupled with the increase in the power of the three gods. Rayquaza chooses to believe Mulin tentatively. As for Mulin riding on himself, oops, it doesn't matter at all. Feeling that Rayquaza's doubts faded away, Xiangzhen was troubled by Jikan. Heatran is it? It's all scum. After mastering Rayquaza, there is always a kind of pleasure that I have in the world with Rayquaza in hand. Pointing to the grinning Heatran on the ground, he said, Rayquaza, Dragon Ascent. Second him. Raw tilde. Rayquaza let out a dragon cry, ready to strike. When he heard that Mulin asked him to use Dragon Ascent, his movements stopped. What is Dragon Ascent? This move, he can't. Sensing Rayquaza's question, Mulin also froze for a while. Rayquaza, you don't know Dragon Ascent? Rayquaza shook his head. Then will you Mega Evolution? Rayquaza shook his head. Mulin seriously doubts how Rayquaza, who doesn't have Dragon Ascent and Mega Evolution, can subdue Groudon and Kyogre. Rayquaza who can Dragon Ascent and Mega Evolution, and Rayquaza who can't, are two completely different creatures. No Dragon Ascent and Mega Evolution. This is too much. Rayquaza, feel it. Mulin violently instilled the three divine powers into Rayquaza's body. And, integrate your own consciousness with Rayquaza. In an instant, a huge amount of information was shared in Rayquaza's mind. Ryuu's fetters become extremely tight at this moment. At the same time, the wild three divine powers ignited Rayquaza's energy like a lead wire. Raw tilde. Rayquaza opened his eyes again. At this moment he understood what Dragon Ascent is, and what Mega Evolution is. The 100-meter body is constantly swinging in the sky. Delta's symbol appears. The earth is screaming. The sea is trembling. The golden ribbons are flying around. Feeling a completely different self, Rayquaza let out an excited dragon cry. Rayquaza, Dragon Ascent. Mulin pointed. Raw tilde. Rayquaza respected Mulin's will, and under his guidance, it turned into a bright streamer. Boom. A huge pothole appeared in the huge man-made palace. And Heatran, sadly, was crushed into meatloaf with preserved vegetables. Cool. Rayquaza never thought that he could become so strong. Mulin, definitely my real one. At this time, Rayquaza has completely believed in Mulin. 1.1 Sensing Rayquaza's changes in his emotions, Mulin began to think seriously. At the beginning, when Zinnia saw her, she bluntly said that she was the inheritor of Rayquaza. When Skypilla first met Rayquaza, Rayquaza took the initiative to show his affection for him. It turns out that we talked about it 3,000 years ago. That's why when we first met, we expressed our closeness. I see. 348 Solgaleo ready to be devoured. Just as Mulin faced Arceus and was about to unlock Arceus' spite on humans, Giovanni, who had already controlled Vujitna from the Gaul region, was also quietly moving. Alola region, Ether Paradise. The actual controller of Ether Foundation, Lady Lusamin, sitting on a sofa, reading the morning newspaper leisurely, enjoying the chef's special breakfast. Bang! The door was forcefully kicked open, breaking the beauty of the early morning. Giovanni, the masked man, followed by the leaders of a group of evil organizations headed by Archie and others, walked into it unscrupulously. Giovanni is the most famous villain in the entire Pokémon world. Lusamin's face was full of vigilance. What are you trying to do? Giovanni sat down with a smile on his face, poured himself a cup of low coffee, and said slowly, Ether Foundation, from now on, I will take over. The Ether Foundation was created by me and my husband. 26 You don't want to take it away. Lusamin protested loudly. The bodyguards walking around every corner rushed out immediately. They stood in front of Lusamin one after another, facing the bodyguard with a bad face and a weapon in his hand. Giovanni didn't raise his head. I'm here to inform you, not to discuss with you. Cooperate with me, maybe you can survive. After speaking, he took out a baby ball and released a bee drill. The stern bee drill fluttered its thin wings, flashing around at a ghostly speed. In just half a minute, all the bodyguards fell in a pool of blood, filled with a strong, pungent smell of blood. The masked man glanced at Giovanni's stern bee drill. A flash of surprise flashed in front of his eyes, and he couldn't help giving Giovanni a high look in his heart. Giovanni you. Seeing the bloody scene and smelling the pungent fishy smell, Lusamin almost spit out the breakfast he had just eaten. If you don't cooperate, you will end up like them. Also, don't think you are so important. Everything about the Ether Foundation is under my control. While speaking, Faber, the head of the Ether Foundation branch, came out with green eyes. He said respectfully, report to the leader. Everything about the Ether Foundation will obey your will. Lusamin stared wide-eyed. Faber, I promoted you to be a minister, but you actually betrayed me. Giovanni interrupted Lusamin's displeasure. You formed the Ether Foundation because you want to study the Ultra Wormhole. Where can you find your husband? If you cooperate with me, maybe you can enter the Ultra Wormhole with us to find out. If you're lucky, you might find your crazy husband by the way. Lusamin fell silent. In its current form, no matter what she thinks, Ether Paradise's fall to Giovanni's hands is a foregone conclusion. Furthermore, as Giovanni said, if she can really find her missing husband, It is also her hope in the experimental bench of Ether Paradise. Mom, don't. Little Xinian told me he was suffering. Please, please stop. The cute and charming Lily begged loudly. In the test stand, Zobo uses strange light to send energy towards Cosmog. Lily, don't make noise. Lucerne tugged Lily hard, forcibly restraining her. Mom, why is little Xinian in such pain? Lily's skirt was already wet with tears. I told you not to make noise. Children should listen to their parents. Don't ask why. Lucerne showed no mercy to Lily, whose face was full of tears. He stared at the ever-changing Cosmog indifferently, just repeating habitually the words that are most often on the lips. Lily's mood? It doesn't matter at all. In the eyes of everyone, Cosmog's form has changed under the infusion of many energy rays, forced to evolve into Cosmoem. Zobo, well done. Giovanni looked at Zobo, who was wearing green glasses, appreciatively. Thank you, leader, for your compliment, Zobo said with a humble expression. Archie, Maxie, Cyrus, Lysandra, you stay and garrison. Zobo, open the ultra wormhole. And before I return, transform Cosmo M453 into Solgaleo. Get this, follow me and the masked man to the ultimate metropolis, and catch those two legendary Pokémon. Yes, yes, yes. Archie and the others echoed loudly. After arranging everything, Giovanni focused his eyes on Faber again. Faber, I hope that when he come back, we will see a Solgaleo that can be devoured at any time. You understand? Giovanni's gaze on Faber gave him a shuddering feeling. Quickly and respectfully replied, yes, leader. Afterwards, operating the machine in Faber, the ultra wormhole, full of eerie atmosphere and dull, opened. Lucerne suddenly said, Giovanni, I'm going to. Giovanni grinned a meaningful smile, then nodded and said, come on. 349 Pokémon World. The most subversive change. After studying the ultra wormhole, Giovanni and his team quickly walked through the ultra space, and reached the deepest point according to the established goal. Ultra space, the most critical place, the ultimate metropolis. This building is called the Ultimate Metropolis Tower. It turns out that here is the same as our world, with warm sunshine shining, and it is a world full of vitality. Although there are rampant ultra beasts, it is still very beautiful. All the beauty of this stems from a Pokémon named Necrozma, who gave the world light. But the humans living here are ignorant and greedy, and use some special method to take away the light that belongs to Necrozma. Necrozma lost its light and fell into madness. Without light, the entire ultimate metropolis was surrounded by darkness. To silence the insane Necrozma, the stupid natives put in prison here. Only free Necrozma, let him devour Solgaleo and Lunala, inspire his ultimate form. Even Mulan's Pokémon can't stand against Necrozma in his ultimate form. As long as you defeat him, you can change your destiny. At that time, my ambition will be realized, and your wish will not be blocked, Giovanni said to the masked man beside him in a high-profile manner. The masked man Price just nodded indifferently, and said in a deep voice, then let's start. It is good. With a big wave of his hand, Giovanni threw several baby balls. The man from Space Deoxys, Heartless or Airberg Mute, huge, Wuji Taina that occupies the entire space. Giovanni pointed to the crystal on the top of the tower and commanded, attack. The 4 arms of Deoxys aimed at the crystal on the top of the tower, and shot out 4 terrifying white energy. Or Airberg Mute condenses a sharp spear with mental power, and flings out. Wujitai even fired a thick energy cannon. 3 tyrannical attacks smashed the crystal that wrapped Necrozma. Necrozma, who lost his light and became completely black, broke free from imprison. Price, let's shoot together. Cheng looked at Price aside. Okay. Price fling hits 2 baby balls. Let tilde. Ho-oh, Dark Lugia shines in it. Threatened by several terrifying legends, Necrozma just broke free, and the colored parts of its head flickered frantically. The 2 huge claws accumulated pure white energy, and in the next second, a condensed light beam was shot out fiercely. Deoxys, Psycho Boost. Or Airberg Mute, Hyper Beam. Wujitaina, Dynamax Cannon. Giovanni is the first to direct the 3 Pokémon he controls to make a move. Deoxys dominates the psychic power rays emitted, carrying the power of the universe. The Hyper Beam created by Airberg Mute is pure and majestic with energy that seems capable of tearing everything apart. The Dynamax Cannon created by Promise is even more exaggerated, like the normal bombardment that destroys the world. Ho-oh, Sacred Fire. Dark Lugia, Aeroblast, facing Necrozma's attack, Price followed suit. Ho-oh's Sacred Fire can burn up all matter. Dark Lugia's Aeroblast can turn matter into dust. Their attacks directly hit Necrozma. Boom, boom. Terrible explosions swept across the sky. Necrozma retreated thousands of meters. His black prism-like body was covered with large and small scars. Just woke up, consciousness is still recovering. There is such a fishy tolerance experience. Price, before he fully regains consciousness, hurry up, Giovanni urged from the sidelines. Yeah, Price agreed, commanding Ho-Oh and Dark Lugia to launch an attack with Giovanni's 3 Pokémon. Boom, 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 boom. As strong as the great god Lucas, Necrozma's aura was also abruptly suppressed by several top legends. It's time. Giovanni squinted at the damaged Necrozma, fling out a special baby ball. A burst of red light flashed and floated out for a while. Then the hostility quickly condensed. Demon Liberation Hoopa appears. Woo-pa. Hoopa in liberated form. Let evil thoughts rise to the sky. Kian Lihao. Liberate Hoopa. Control the damaged Necrozma. Giovanni greeted, and Hoopa's 6 hands aimed at the pitch-black Necrozma. A unique and terrifying evil thought was released. Seeing what Giovanni and Price did, Luciman was horrified. It's not enough for them to have such a powerful force, but to control the Necrozma. I'm afraid it won't be long before the entire Pokémon world will undergo the most subversive changes ever. 350 Arceus. One more memory. Look back to Mygena 3,000 years ago. At this time, Mulin was riding Mega Rayquaza high in the sky, and said, "Rayquaza, Dragon Quinxing." Mega Rayquaza let out an excited dragon cry, and let the boiling dragon energy shoot to soaring in the sky. In the endless turbulence, energy meteorites fell from the sky. Boom, boom. The majestic palace, suffering from the indiscriminate meteorite attack, is rapidly shattering. The rebel army led by Chaizen, facing the top god Rayquaza, has no ability to stop it at all. The mastermind, Kaiksin, was specially taken care of by Mulin, who directed Mega Rayquaza to aim at his position and fire a dragon pulse. After all, according to the theatrical version, Chaizen organized a large group of powerful Pokémon to jointly launch an effective attack on Arceus, killed the opponent directly, without giving the opponent any chance to resist. With Chaizen's death, the rebel army has no leader. Since then, Mulin has also successfully rescued Deimos. Together with Rayquaza, they quietly waited for Arceus to come to the appointment. Witness Deimos with his own eyes and call back the Jewel of Life to Arceus. His mission is over. Arceus 3733000 years ago. To untie the dead knot, a sigh suddenly sounded in Mulin's heart. Hey, that voice is majestic and old, almost exactly the same as Arceus, who is so raged 3,000 years later and wants to destroy the world and exterminate mankind. Arceus? You. Mulin was astonished and searched everywhere for the source of the voice. Keep the change, please. My will has always been attached to you. Arceus' old voice came again. This time, Mulin heard clearly. The sound comes from your own brain. 3,000 years later, Arceus actually followed him back to 3,000 years ago. That is to say, Arceus saw everything he did when he came back. Now that things are clear, let everything return to calm. This voice sounded in Mulin's mind, and then his vision blurred, and his consciousness began to sink. When Mulin opened his eyes again, CGDG, he suddenly found himself on the battlefield still in Mygena. The 13 mythical beasts stared at the lofty Arceus vigilantly. Travel through time and go back in time. It may feel very long, but in reality, only a few minutes have passed. Mulin. Cynthia ran over quickly, holding him tightly with both hands. Kaluni and Sabrina also quickly followed. 3 pairs of beautiful eyes stared at Mulin, who disappeared just now and now returned. Looking at Mulin surrounded by 3 women, Hina's eyes were complicated because Mulin went back to the past, uncovered the conspiracy, rescued Deimos, and asked him to return the Gem of Life to Arceus. The truth of the matter was also passed down. Hina's memory changes accordingly. He murmured, it turned out that it was Cheeksin who set the trap back then. It's been a misunderstanding all these years. Hearing Hina's whisper, Mulin turned to look at Hina. In the past, Hina always hated her ancestor Deimos, but now her attitude has undergone a big change, which should be a change that happened in the past. Hina met Mulin's gaze and said, Professor Mulin, the moment you returned just now, I have an extra set of memories in my mind. Through this new memory, I see the truth. Cool. Hearing this, Mulin let out a heavy breath. Then he patted Cynthia's hand to indicate that she was fine, and then turned his eyes to Arceus in the sky. Then Arceus should have returned to his senses. Arceus's original pair of dignified blood eyes, the color faded, and the clarity began to return. The coercion all over the world still exists, but the shocking destructive atmosphere has dissipated. The 13 beasts in the battlefield breathed a sigh of relief as Arceus' attitude changed. All the slates of Arceus' iconic crest of the universe have been restored, which indicates that the current Arceus has no weaknesses at all. Looking at Mulin with clear eyes, he said, Deimos, as you said, he didn't betray me. In Arceus' voice, there was no emotion. But one thing is certain, that is, the hostility has been eliminated. Human, you are special. Right now, I don't know your name yet. Mulin can finally be completely relieved. Arceus' attitude should have given up spite and returned to calm. Shen replied, my name is Mulin. Mulin. Arceus repeated Mulin's name repeatedly. At the same time, the rest of the universe on his body rotated, and all the stone plates began to rotate. A gentle power emanated from Arceus' body. The potholed ground is repaired, and the antimatter that stabilizes the space is strengthened. Everything began to change towards the original appearance. It didn't take long for Mygena to return to her original rich and bountiful appearance. Grateful. Great Arceus. Hina knelt down excitedly, bowing to Arceus, the god of creation. Without saying a word, Arceus looked at Mulin meaningfully, then opened a different dimension behind him, and returned to the Hall of Origin. With the departure of Arceus, The whole incident was finally resolved perfectly. This time the incident protected the world from destruction. At the same time, through a short time travel, Mulan learned about Rayquaza and his origins. The process is a bit risky, but the result is very satisfying. Mulan solved it perfectly on this side, while Giovanni, who entered the Ultra Wormhole on the other side, progressed very smoothly. The Alola region is returned. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. And join my Patreon if you want to support me, link in the description. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.